Live on Journeys, former Trinidad and Tobago's top trainer, Joe Hadeed, Joe Hadeed.
Welcome to Journeys the Talk Show. Our show is now live, streaming and live, coming to you live, and is hosted by Sean Hall, Leroy Trotman, and I'm Brett Callahan. It is now 7 p.m. on Thursday, May 12th, 2022. Our show is proudly sponsored by the Barbados Turf Club, horse racing at the Garrison, Savannah, and the Barbados Tourism Market Inc., who is inviting all of our listeners to come and visit Barbados. We've got a busy show, guys, so let's get to it. Here's
Good night.
Sean Hall and Leroy Trotman.
Good night, everyone.
Welcome to Journeys, people. First of all, we'd like to thank Chantel Sullivan for what a wonderful show she gave us last week. It was amazing.
That's right.
She was so welcoming to us. One of our most outspoken guests.
Oh yes, she was great. I mean,
and first female.
First female also.
Yeah.
First female. Don't forget that, guys. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, people are still talking about it.
Yes.
That was just before the great Kentucky Derby, huh? Wasn't that great to see that horse win?
And you know what, guys?
The
tip she gave us for the Sunday, the horse won too, eh?
It did. The Oaks, right?
Yeah. And she won another one today too at Gulfstream. So
great, man.
Keep going, Shani.
Yes.
All right.
I think the tips had the people more impressed than anything else, man.
Do we have any hot tips for the racing this weekend, guys?
Well, we'll get to that later on. I might have one or two for you. So let's not sweeten them yet. You know, you always say the big race for the last, so you keep the bettors in the audience close by, right? We don't let them leave early.
Correct.
All right. So, Sean.
Yes, sir.
You got some condolences you want to send out to some great people.
Yes, we lost a few people this week. We lost Roy Gordon. He was the assistant trainer to Joe Hadeed. And funny enough, we're doing a show with him today. So we'll
hear some stuff about him.
We hear a lot of stuff about him.
Great. He probably got some great stories too.
Oh, yes. I remember as a youngster going to Trinidad, and he was the man in charge of, he ran the barn where sending the horses and that kind of stuff. So, and then it was brilliant, man. Roy Gordon.
Great. Well, we'll hear a lot more about him. We're definitely gonna have some fun to hear about him too.
Yes. Then we lost Robert Bork. He was the Barbados Turf Club's president for over 10 years, and he died recently also. So that was kind of it's another downer to the week, I must say. Followed by Chris Amon, the great Chris Amon. Chris Amon, as we know, is a great Caribbean man. Not only he's a Jamaican, but he served Barbados racing as a CEO. Also, he was in Trinidad, and of course, he was in Jamaica. He uplifted everybody wherever he went. He brought. I heard he was also in Florida also. So I mean, he was all over the place. And last and not least is a personal friend. He's son of Weeks. Yes, and he passed away a couple of days ago from cancer. He was also very well known to be a singer in Sam Pebble's group back in the 70s and stuff.
So all sweet music, eh?
sweet music, man. He did his own music in Germany also. He started singing reggae and that kind of stuff, but he went there.
Wow.
But he's gone also. I think he died of cancer a couple of days ago. So that's it, folks. I mean, sorry to start the show like that, but people are just rocking around us.
Yeah, well,
we want to thank all of them for their support of the horse racing industry worldwide.
Yes.
But especially in Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica. I mean,
well, and I remember last week I spoke about that young lady in horse racing. This week is not a death this time, but it's injuries to Sheena Ryan. You know, Sheena had we would also like to our best wishes and prayers to jockey Sheena Ryan from Woodbine Racetrack. You know, Sheena was involved in a pretty serious accident where it involved her pelvis and her elbow. I think one of her knees also. And it looks like, you know, career-ending injuries that she had. I don't think she's going to be able to ride again, from what I'm understanding. You know, so we have...
she had a successful surgery recently.
Yes, she did have a successful surgery.
Good that she's in better spirits. And
yes, she is. And she's resting well and stuff like that. And
one of her donations to her, can't
one of her colleagues, and I said best friend, Isabella Winks, have organized a GoFund for her, and she's doing pretty good. They're at 12,380 at this moment, and that's from 104 donors.
So 104 donors have gone on. I think it's her. People can go to GoFundMe.com.
Yes.
GoFundMe.com and search for Sheena Ryan. I got it on the screen there now that all of our visitors, if they're interested in helping support her, they can go there, and her name is Sheena Ryan, and they can search for her page and make a donation to help her out. I'm definitely going to check that out later on, guys.
Yeah. So, you know, she had the horse. Apparently, she was working a horse in the morning or something, and after the work, the horse seemed to just did something pretty stupid and end up over the rail. She ended up over the rail on the other side of the fence. Wow. You know, and I mean, this poor girl just had an injury just last year, I think, too. You know, so it's like, you know, unfortunate thing happening to, you know, before the season can start and stuff like that, which just finish her just like that. This is a game, boys, that, you know, you guys again were riders. I only was an exercise rider, and you guys rode in races, and you guys know how serious and dangerous it can be out there. You guys putting your life on the line for our entertainment every day, you know, and you guys were living proof to see me that to made it through it and made it through it safe, and here be able to talk about it with us today. You know, so always my hat goes off to you jocks that ride out there every day. You know,
I think that's most athletes, no matter which sport they're in, and I'm pretty sure from what I've learned on Facebook about Sheena Ryan, she's going to be committed, and she's going to try her utmost best to be back out there on the horses. Yeah. I mean, Sheena is one of those people that the horse racing gets in your blood, and it's not going to be easy for her to just give it up and go find another job somewhere. So we wish her all the best and keep fighting, Sheena. And we look forward to seeing you back out on the racetrack as soon as you're good and healthy.
Okay, boys. Well, that's it for that. What else we got on the show here for our audience tonight, boys?
This new our special guest, champion trainer Joe Hadeed, four-time champion trainer from Trinidad and Tobago. Aren't you guys? Sean, you were saying people were talking about it this morning?
Yes. A lot of people were asking a lot of questions about him this morning. So there's a buzz here in Barbados. Okay, champion trainer. You know, he had a lot of great horses. He won the Gold Cup here in Barbados. So, wow. It was a wow.
Frisky Wharf and Emil Ramsamy, huh?
That's right.
We're going to get into all of that. But before we get into this, guys, we want to do our BTMI weekly race report. Great.
the BTMI Weekly Report.
Our BTMI Weekly Report updates you on Barbadian jockeys, trainers, and horsemen working throughout North America. Rocco Bowen continues to do well, winning 2 races in the last 3 days at Hawthorne Racetrack, which is situated in Illinois, near Chicago in the USA. It's one of the oldest continually run family-owned racetracks in North America. He won the first race on May 6 on Can It Happen and Twirling Roses on May 8 to go on to have a win total of 25 winners for the year. Moving to Aqueduct and Belmont Park, Jalon Samuel, Barbadian jockey, had his 5th winner in the United States for 2022, with the most recent winner coming at Belmont Park aboard Nova Loves a Fight on May 5th, 2022. Over in Alberta, Canada, Barbadian jockey Desmond Bryan became the first Bajan jockey to win at Century Mile Racetrack and Casino for the year, when he won on May 7th, the second day of racing for 2022, scoring in race 4 on a little bit of spicy. At Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto, Canada, last Sunday, horseman and groom Corey McDonald seems to have the hot hand this season as he looks after Pinot in a Purse, which won his 2nd race in a row for Barbadian trainer Ricky Griffith, who has only had 4 starters this year. Also, racing has begun at Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto, racing 4 days each week, from Thursdays to Sundays. Already for today, Barbadian jockey Kevin Nichols won the 3rd race aboard Rock Crest, who was trained by Barbadian trainer Nigel Burke. And the very next race, Barbadian trainer Randy Thompson saddled the winner, Anita Grigio, and in race number 5, Barbadian jockey Corey Jordan won the very next race, who was also saddled by Barbadian Ronaldo Holder. Here is celebrating all of the Barbadian horsemen and Caribbean horsemen that are racing around the world.
This is the BTMI Weekly Report.
Hey guys,
I-
Barbadian horsemen doing awesome, huh?
Yes, it's great.
Talking about a horseman, I watched that sugar cane there going doing that thing there just like take a piece of sugar cane and suck the sugar cane now, boy. Tea, man.
Oh, you can't get in trouble, man.
Anyhow, back to the show.
You seem a little homesick. You seem a little homesick, sir.
As man would say, gee, don't bread. You know what I mean? Let that sugar cane there to suck, man. All right, guys. We talk some little forward to tonight, boys. Some history.
Yes.
We can hear about some
Before
things
we
before.
get into that, we want to talk about Slade Jones.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Racetrack. He'll be
Oh,
moving
yes.
his tack to Woodbine on
Yes.
May 19th, just a week away from today.
Great.
I don't know, Sean, you did an interview with him, didn't you?
Yes, I did a nice interview with this youngster, and to just showcase him so people could see who he is before he gets there. And that's what we're about. We're showcasing our Barbadian talent.
That's it.
And
A lot of these great riders, they all learn at the Garrison Savannah.
That's right.
Huh?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Out to the Barbados Surf Club.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see what Sean
Yes.
was up to earlier this week, Leroy.
Cool.
Yes.
I am Sean Hall here from Journeys. Today I'm here with young Slade Jones, son of John O. Jones for you Canadians, grandfather of the great one, Slade Jones. He's going to Canada in the very near future, and we'd like to hear a few words of what you expect from you when you get to Canada, son.
Well, of course, I'll try to do my best up there and, just give them what, well, do my best. That's all I really.
You do your best.
Yeah.
When are you planning to go?
I'm planning to go up on the 19th of May, which is this month.
Mm-hmm.
And really looking forward to it,
Because I noticed you had a fall very recently, and how has your recovery been going?
Yeah, the recovery's been coming back, come back slow, but I've come back really nice and fit, doing a lot, getting back real fit now. So.
What was the problem?
I just had a bad concussion and a bleed in my pancreas.
Oh dear.
But other than that, it came back very good.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, right in here in Barbados, you have done, I would say, you've really, you've got your fair share of rides and that kind of stuff. How do you want to take your experience from right in here in Barbados to Canada? Because you've done pretty well. You've got a lot of rides. You know the ropes now. You're not a greenhorn.
Yeah, it's I've got a lot of rides here, so I guess I have some island experience. But I'm just gonna take my trade up to Canada and see how it works out there, and well, do my best, I guess.
Great.
Yeah.
When you were born in Canada, also, I must let people know that you're Canadian.
Yeah,
as such.
I was born in Canada.
You were born in Canada,
Yeah.
so it's basically like you're going back home.
Yeah, I was I haven't been to Canada in about 4 or 5 years now, so it'd be nice and fresh to see it again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot because I was born up there when my dad was a jockey up there in like 2006. So I'm really looking forward to going back up.
I also got to let people know you're Slade Callahan. You're named after none other than Slade Callahan.
Yeah.
I mean, can you explain that? The closest with your dad and Slade Callahan that you're named after Slade. Do you know why?
Well, I know, of course, that Slade Callahan and my family, right? My mom and my father are really friendly. So, I was not there to put my input, but I quite like the name Slade.
Yes.
And it's an honor to be named after the great Slade Callahan.
Yes.
So,
Great.
It's quite an honor to be named after him, and he's very, very good to me. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to going up there and seeing him.
Yeah, because you have Slade around, your dad, your grandfather. I mean, there's so much knowledge you as a young man you get to pick from. I mean, do you pick at these guys pretty often to get knowledge?
Well, yeah, I haven't really talked to Uncle Slade that much when I was. Obviously, he gave me some really good advice when I first started out. But I always pick up my dad, like whenever I ride maybe not the best race, and I had not maybe the best race, they'll go to my dad and I'll watch over all the race and see where I made my mistakes.
Right.
And he'll always put me, he always tried to put me in the best direction possible.
Well, granddad, I want to hear what granddad.
Well, of course, Grandpa Charlie, he gave me some of the first starts I had.
Yes.
And I won a race for him too. But Charlie's given me some fantastic advice as well.
Right.
And obviously I learned to ride at Big C Stables with my grandmother.
Yes. Oh yes, I can't forget Di. We can't forget the great Di, because a lot of youngsters who are jockeys now have passed through Big C riding stables. I mean, so I must give some credit to your grandma too.
Of course.
Di Clark.
Of course.
The great Di Clark, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. A lot of people have been through there.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Well, you know what, Slade? Thank you very much for doing this interview. I wish you all the best on your journey to Canada. This is Sean Hall for Journeys. This is Slade Jones on his way to Canada. Wish you all the best, son.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Great.
Hi, I'm Slade Jones, and I'm on my way to Canada. Looking forward to it, and this is Journeys.
Fire!
Yes.
Yes.
Ready and willing.
Yes. Right, but so, Leroy,
Yes.
I remember I came to your house. You had a house party one time, and that kid came to your house. I don't know if you remember. He and his brother are twins, and he terrorized your house, man. I don't know if you remember that.
That's been so long.
That had to be 2007 or something like that, man. It was years and years ago.
Long.
They were young kids, and they got know he's on the track racing.
Wow.
You know
Big
what I mean?
boys, man. These kids grow so fast, man.
I don't know. We're getting old too, man. I mean, Lord have mercy.
Don't remind me, man. You know, the knees are starting to hurt a little bit, Sean, and the back once in a while, you know.
Everywhere hurts me. I'm hurting all over. I had to rub down before the show. Like if I was a horse or something, rubbed everything down.
You get the bingy boss them out.
I got better stuff than that now, man. I don't work no more. I had to import stuff.
Well, hey, we got to get there. We got a great man. We got a great man that up to that age where we're trying to get to.
Yes.
You know, sitting in the background waiting for us to give us some history. Sit us back in our chair and give us some history.
It's going to be a history lesson tonight. People
history lessons tonight. That's right. History lesson. That's right. Get your pen and paper out and take some notes.
Right.
So let me introduce to you Mr. Joe Hadeed. Mr. Hadeed, sir, welcome to Journeys.
Hello again, sir.
Mr. Hadeed, sir. Respect you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and there's nothing greater in my life than talking horse racing.
Great.
You got a lot of horse racing up your blood, man. You got a lot.
Horse racing, and it is a great part of my life, and I have accumulated a lot of great friends in horse racing that I will never forget.
Great.
What Joey Carew was one of your great friends?
Joey Carew.
Yes.
Joey Carew was one of the men that introduced me to horse racing. We were at Fatima College together.
Okay.
And we had a group like a little gang. And Joey encouraged us to go to the Savannah, which is not far away, at 5 o'clock every morning before school to look at horses gallop. Joey knew us like he knew his children.
How far back we talking?
We used to stand up by the president. Yeah. And from them, the horses came out from behind by the Queen's Park Hotel. Joey knew every single horse.
What year was
so
this?
He took me to Savannah, encouraged me to look, and that is how I got involved in racing. I am not really from a racing family. My parents never been to a racetrack in their life. They don't know anything about racing. And after I got involved in racing, my brothers got involved because of my involvement. But Joey Carew, Joey Carew was my idol, and I followed him. We were close friends. And before we get a horse racing, let me give you a story about Joey Carew. Trinidad was playing Barbados at the Queen's Park Cricket Club. Joey was batting 8. Rob was feeling at slips. Royal Branca used to bowl a leg break, bowling to Joey. And one of my good friends, who was actually one of my mentors, Tom O'Brien, said to me, Joe, I know you believe in Joey. What odds you give me that he don't make 100? I said, Robbie, are you mad? He's now 98. So I think I bet him $20 in those. I gave him 20 to 1. I bet him $5. The next ball, Robin Rhino moved from first slip to leg slip. Joey didn't realize that. And on 98, Royal Branca bowled a little trinksy leg break. Joey went forward and turned the ball straight into Robin Rhino's hand. And he was out at 98. It took me about 3 months of my salary to pay Trotman. After the game, when I went down, I said, Joey, are you a madman? How are you going to do that? He said, Joe, I didn't realize that Robin moved from full slip to leg slip. Arthur Bethel was the captain. And before the ball was bowled, Arthur, Royal Branca, and Robin had a little chat. And Joey didn't take them on. And Robin moved from full slip, went to leg slip. Joey turned the ball straight in his hand at 98 and made me lose my mind.
Oh my God. 2 runs.
You're talking about Joey Carew, though, and I know that is cricket. Were you involved in cricket also?
Yeah, well, I always say that when I was at Fatima College, I played a bit of cricket. And at the junior level, I used to open with Joey. And I always had to
Okay.
face the first ball. Joey afraid to face the first ball. I, and I played a little bit of cricket, but I followed cricket all my life. I love cricket. I followed cricketers. I followed Joey's career. He was a genius. And he
Yes.
was also a great horseman. He owned horses, and he
Yes.
even tried to train some on his own,
Mhm.
He was a human being, and he was a very great friend of mine.
Wow. No, because
So
I know Joey Carew very well from my father playing cricket with my father in Trinidad and in West Indies. So
Yeah.
I just had to ask you that question if you had West Indies playing for the West Indies in your thoughts at any stage.
Well, no, I followed cricket, played cricket. As a matter of fact, in those days, when I tell my sons today that when Barbados was playing Trinidad in the Oval, we line up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get in the schoolboy stand. It was so loud. It was
Yes.
an enormous event. Barbados, Trinidad, in the Oval, and
Yes.
I knew your father well, and he was interested in horse racing. And when I
Yes.
trained, I was friendly with Gary and Godfrey and same on earth, those boys used to ring me and
Yes.
ask me. In those days,
Yes.
the betting shops in Barbados took bets on Trinidad racing.
That's
So
right.
I knew Gary and all, and they're all interested. Simon was interested, and and Charlie Griffith was
Yes.
also a swords, and they followed horse racing like most Bajans.
I'm sure you were on speed dial 24 hours a day with those guys.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun though. Anyway, and my racing has been very good to me, and I had a great life in racing, and I will never forget it. It was the most enjoyable years of my life. I trained for fantastic people, and then from Fatima, I started to go to the paddock, and I got friendly with Tom O'Brien, John O'Brien's father,
Yes.
and he was a trainer, senior trainer there, and I worked with him, and he wanted help because he was made president of the turf club, and he asked me if I take over the stable, and I said, I'm no longer, and I'm Charlie Jones,
Yes.
like my son. And I can tell you something, you just interviewed Slade,
Yes.
but I believe it never happened anywhere in the racing world where a father, a grandson, and a grandson won races at the same racetrack.
That's true.
Charlie, Jono, and Slade won at the Garrison Savannah.
That's right.
I never heard of that anywhere in the world
That's right.
where
That,
three
that'd be interesting
generations,
to ask some of our
won races.
listeners if they ever heard of that before.
Yes. Yes.
That'd be very interesting. I think maybe Barbados
Yes,
will go down in
know
history books for that.
Mhm.
they should. I don't know of any. We've had a lot of sons of jockeys who have come on, and in the past we had in the old days, O.P. Bennett was
Yes.
the top. He did everything. He was actually the club. He rode. I used to ride. He was the top jockey, and his son Steve. No, a lot of people don't believe he was a jockey because Steve was when he finished at the end of his life. He was the early 40s, and Steve
It's
rode
huge.
together with OP. And a lot of the old jockeys that rode for OP, he enjoyed most of the jockeys like Old Cappy Ed and Sonny and all those old jockeys that rode for him. Jim Lowe. Whenever Steve was in a race, OP used to say, open up, move aside, Mr. Steve is coming through. And Steve used to come through and win, and then next in the paper you hear, again. But that's the only father and son that I know that race together. Charlie and his son Douglas, his eldest son Douglas, both rode for me in Trinidad, and they both rode in the same race.
Okay.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Douglas beat him. They both rode, and they were both favorites, and Douglas beat Charlie in a race. Both rode together, and that's the only in my time you were father and son riding together. I don't think John never rode with his father, but it's really unique and interesting that generations of jockeys come and Charlie's around long enough to be able to see his grandson ride. And I always, every time Slade was a race, I speak to Charlie regularly. And one day I rang and I said, Charlie, how did Slade do today? He said, him, I don't want to hear from him. He was supposed to ride a horse for me. I left my horse and went to ride a horse for somebody else. And that is horse racing, you know.
Yes.
But I started off and then Charlie used to ride for Cole Durant. Cole Durant is one of the finest horsemen and trainers I have ever come across. And I'm sure Cole would have gone to anywhere in the world and be outstanding. He was a genius.
Yes.
Cole Durant came to Trinidad as a groom. He came to Trinidad as a groom with a horse called Nylon in late 40s.
Wow.
It was bought from Barbados by Cyril Gittins. Not Cyril, sorry, Lyle Gittins. And Cole came as the groom, looked after Nylon, and never turned back. And from then on, he worked his way up from a groom to be an outstanding trainer. He was the champion trainer for 15 years. And I am proud and honored that I was in the 20 years, I was the first trainer to dethrone him.
Oh, yes.
And we were very, very close friends. He was an absolute genius. And you know, he was from Barbados, and he Charlie worked for him. And then Charlie stopped riding for him. Charlie came and said to me, Joe, look, I'll come ride for you. And we started the stable together.
Okay.
And we worked right off with 5 or 6 horses, and we went up 70 or 80 horses, and Charlie rode 140, 150 winners for me. You know, he was a genius.
Do you remember your first winner?
Yes. My first winner was on a Bajan horse called Aqueduct that my brother bought from John Goddard.
Yes.
What year was that?
By Cole Durant, 1970.
Okay. You remember as well, man.
The first horse I had entered a race. And when I got my license, my brother, who owned some horses with Peter George, and they had him with Cole, they moved the horses to me, and Charlie rode riding for me then. And he rode this horse. It was the first horse I had in a race, and a horse called Aqua, a Bajan horse that we bought from John Goddard. And we went on, and it was fun at the beginning, and they got more serious, and we went from 5 horses to 10 horses to 15 horses to 20 horses. We kept winning races. We never stopped winning. And the only other trainer who won more races was Cole. And we ended up, when I stopped towards the end there, I had 60 or 70 horses.
Wow.
We won everything.
Yeah.
And Cole and myself, you know, he was from Union Park, and we were rivals, and Hadid and Durant, but we were such close friends. He was
That's where you first started, though, right?
Yes. And Cole, Cole was a gentleman, a genius. Cole was a natural. He was a groom, and then he left. When he left racing, he went to be. He was a security guard at Texaco, which was across the road from the racetrack at Union Park. But he kept coming to the track every morning for his love for the game.
Yes.
And one of the owners asked him to train a horse for him, and he started off by training one horse. I think it was for Mr. Samlal Singh or Mr. Hasmatali, and he was so successful. He never stopped winning.
Wow.
He was an absolute genius. I tell you, the difference between Cole and myself, he was a genius. It was natural for him to look at a horse, and in a second, he could evaluate the condition of that horse. Not going to the mill like him. I had to look at the horse 2 or 3 times before I could evaluate it. And it was amazing. We had a great friendship. We loved each other. And as a matter of fact, I read the eulogy when he passed. But Cole, you know, he was so, and he never stopped. And actually, I don't remember the year, but if you look at the archive, you'll see 1 year's racing in Trinidad. Between Cole and myself, we won over 50% of all the races run in Trinidad.
Wow. Wow.
We had 7 races or 8 races in a day. Cole will win 4, and I will win 3, and we won. And as a matter of interest, when we brought horses, we used to bring horses from England by boat, and they used to come to
Yes.
Barbados. They used to come on the geese boat. That was the
Yes.
banana boat that came to
Yes.
Barbados.
The geese
Bananas
boat.
from the region back to yes, and that's how we brought the horses out. Then from then, when we bought more horses, we graduated to air,
Mhm.
and they had a charter company that brought horses, flew horses all around the world. And there was a load of 32 horses from England coming to
Wow.
Trinidad, all Trinidad owners.
Wow.
Of the 32 horses, 15 were for colt owners, 15 were for my owners,
Yeah.
and the other two were for private owners. I think Mr. Sam Lal and Mr. Cow something.
Wow.
We we worked together. We love racing. We made a big difference.
Yes.
Colt was so respected. When Colt opened his mouth, everybody listened.
Yes.
And we took over the Trainers Association. We brought the profession up to a high standard where trainers were respected. Before that, trainers were not respected.
Mhm.
And we brought it up to a high standard. And when we got a lot of things done that could not have been done in the past, we got a lot of rules changed, which line industry made it a lot easier for the trainers. And we were respected, and we respected ourselves, and the owners respected us. And we never stopped winning. And he was an absolute genius. And I think he contributed a lot to racing. He trained a lot of the groups I had came from him. Charlie rode for him for years. Venice rode for him after Charlie. He had Singh, Dale Whitaker rode for him, and
Yes.
he looked after his jockeys, and he looked after his owners, and I learned a lot from him. And if I had a problem, I call him. I said, "Good boy, I can help with this horse. What do you think?" And he said, "Joe, why you don't try this? Try that." And a lot of horses that he trained at Union Park, it was like Barbados, is one track, and it was monotonous. And I remember he had a very good horse that ran third or fourth in the English Canadian bought by Kelly and Merlin Samlad, a horse called Swift Image. They paid a lot of money for it. And Cole had this, he couldn't get it. He couldn't get his mind on racing. And he recommended to the owners that, why don't you send this horse to Joe in Port of Spain? And Joe would train the horse on the Savannah over the hills. We had the opportunity to use this contract, or we trained the horses over the hills on the grass, all through between the trees, and took the mind off his hand track. And the owners agreed, and I took the horse, and it never stopped winning. It won the Texaco Plate at Union Park and so on. And Colt advised them to get this horse in a different environment. And we were very successful. I was very grateful to him for doing that, And when our horses went to Union Park, the race, he looked after them. And when his horses came to Port of Spain, I looked after them. And we worked really well together. He was a lovely man.
And hearing you talking, I know a lot of race fans are going to be surprised to hear what you're saying, because everybody thought there was this big rivalry between the two guys. I mean, this great news that you're telling us here now. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, the press baited rivalry. Port of Spain horses versus Union Park horses. We had two biggest stables.
Yes.
And it was Hadid versus Duran. I went to Union Park and won a race. It was a big thing. And when he came to Port of Spain, and he won most races, I must tell you, he won a lot more races than I did. And I know that although I won 6 or 7 derbies, and Colt won 10 or 12, I was second to him in 5 derbies.
Wow.
Every time I look like winning a race, Colt will come out, the house will come with me. And when Charlie rode for me, Charlie, you didn't have to give him a lot of instructions. Charlie was a genius, as you know. The first thing he would ask me when he got in the parade was, who's the horse to beat? And it was always naturally one of Colt's.
Right.
But Charlie had like to follow horses, and if he knew he was behind the horse that he had to beat, he knew he'll get a run. And if he could beat that horse, he'll pass it at the end. And Charlie was an absolute brilliant genius, and we had a lot of great jockeys. I had great jockeys riding for me. Of my 1,240 horses I won in my career, 5 jockeys won nearly 70% of those races. Wow. I always had great jockeys. Emil won 240 races for me.
Wow.
Emil was an apprentice of Colt.
Yes.
When Tommy Carter, who I was involved in bringing to Trinidad, when I used to run a rear, and I got to school through Barbados students with seals, and we used to come to Barbados every year for winter. I got friendly with him, and I go to England and stay with him, and at Epsom. And there was this very light jockey called Tommy Carter. And when we were looking for a tutor, Scobie said, Joe, you cannot be better than Tommy Carter. Tommy Carter knows racing, he knows race right, he's a brilliant jockey, and he will be the best tutor you can have. On my recommendation, the authority, we employed Tommy, brought him to Trinidad. And Tommy ran the jockey school, did a great job. And Tommy, because of our friends, he used to recommend to me, he said, Joe, you see this young Sammy boy? He's a genius. Try and get him. And when I approached Emil as an apprentice, Colt offered him a job. And naturally, he went to work for Colt in bigger stable, a lot successful. He didn't do very well with Colt, and not because he was not good. I think he lost one or two races that he should have won, and the owner started to complain when the apprentice there. So he left Colt. When he came to Port of Spain, he didn't really start to ride for me. He was riding for kind of freelance. He rode after Elton Harper. And just then, Hugh Blaze was my jockey.
Right.
And Hugh had a fall. And Emil was around. And I said, I looked at him exercising horses and riding. I said, I would like to offer Emil a job. But before doing so, I phoned Colt. Emil in Port of Spain and so on. I have no jockey. And I always had a stable jockey. I couldn't run a stable without a stable jockey. And I want to offer him a job. What do you think? Colt said, Joe, you cannot go wrong. He's a brilliant young man. He works hard. And he had a hard time. And he for Spain. You cannot go wrong offering him a job. I offered him a job. And we said, you want everything. He worked hard every morning. Leave until all the horses worked, and the horses he's interested in, he would take the grooms, keep that for me. I want to work that. Broken it 2 years. And it was sad when he went to Canada, but I couldn't stop him. He was going to Wiener Pastures, and I knew he would do well anyway. But talking about Emil, it was interesting that when you interviewed him, he said that the best horse he ever ridden in New Zealand was a horse called Kong.
That's right. Correct.
Well, Sean, I would like you to go onto YouTube. Yeah. Go onto YouTube. And if in YouTube you go into a fellow called Roger James.
Yes.
He's a Trinidadian.
Yes, I watched all his races.
Every race ever televised in Barbados.
Yeah.
Right. On YouTube. You look at Paul Kong and Jerobian.
Yes.
Emil said Kong was great, but Emil, the best race in my mind he ever rode was on Jerobian when he beat Colt account on the pole. And nobody could believe it. Halfway up the straight, there was a foregone conclusion. And Emil, I was amused to hear him say that Colt is the best horse he ever rode. But he rode Jerobian to beat Colt in the President Cup in the Savannah.
Mr. Hadeed, I think we have that video for you.
Yeah.
1987, Jerobian beats Colt to account.
Yes.
Let's watch it.
Take a look at the video right now.
Please do.
Old President's Cup, or as it's now called the Republic Bank Cup. The All Clear given from behind. And they're off and running, and let's see who's going to make the pace here. Chief of Baghdad is well away, so to Ben Todd. The last one is Jolly Fortune, and misses the break completely. Jerobian is well away, but the runner on the outside, that's Brady going to make the running here. He comes across with the heavens above, well into Ben Tom, and Corso talking Ben Tom at the stage. Badag is well there. Jerobian is just about fourth on the inside. The last runner is Jolly Fortune, but Brady is the one making it here. From the heavens above, and then Ben Tom fighting his way in third, then Badag and Jerobian, then Corso account and no lie, then Merely Curious. But the leader now, the heavens above, getting a reminder from the jockey, leading from Brady, then Badag in third, then Tom, then it's Richard Lung, in the saddle in fourth here. And just behind comes Jerobian on the inner, they're followed by Corso account and Mantab. That's the order as they swing up the back of the cemetery. The leader, it is the heavens above from Brady. Leading from Farag in third, then Bentham in fourth. Jerobian and Trotman now been asked to quicker, and he does so easily indeed. And Trotman has gone right by Bentham into third, and Rajkumar says, I'm not hanging around at all, I'm going for it here, and he does so. Trotman kicks clear from Tibredi. Bentham is just about, in fact, not too good to what it was said. Still Trotman by 3 from Tibredi, and on the outskirts of Tibredi, Farag, then Jerobian and Bentham, and then the heavens above, and Chief of Baghdad, the other side of it, so to Connie Weston. That large crowd up at the top of the straight to see the race here. The Coastal Count still leads by 2 from Farag. Here comes Jerobian with a rattle. Behind these, Bentham finishing also, but down the straight they come, and it's now Coastal Count leading by 3. Here comes Jerobian, set down to the drive he is. Bentham is quickly also. So too, the one behind these is Joe Hadeed. Just about 50 meters to go, and it's all Coastal Count and Jerobian. Coastal Count, Jerobian. Inside the final 50 meters, Jerobian. Jerobian on the outside. Jerobian wins it from Coastal Count with no lies. Then comes, we see Farag, and then Chief of Baghdad, Bentham, then the heavens above. Behind these, very curious into Brady, Connie Weston, and Mantab. The last of what being Connie Fortune. Here comes the winner. That's Jerobian, ridden by Emil Ramsamy, who we understood was under a bit of cloud with the virus, but Emil really rode like a possessed man to get the best out of Jerobian. Many people had written off Jerobian after his disappointment on the opening day, but the trainer had said earlier in his interview that the horse was a bit of a moody individual, and today was certainly his day. Full marks to the team. Francis Regalado, the lad who does Jerobian, and Roy Gordon and members of the Hadid team, bouncing back after their dismissal by Green Man in his short stop. It was Jerobian getting up on the line to defeat Coastal Count, who did like he had done early in most of his races. He kicks the home early, and that's the way he normally runs his races, but today he just did not have it at the end. They were a good 10 lengths clear of the third place, no lie. It was Jerobian, owned by Peter Clark and partners, and bred by Joe Hadeed, ridden by Ramsamy, getting up on the line by a head to get the better of Coastal Count. A thrilling finish for the Republic Bank Cup, and I'm sure the sponsors certainly got their money's worth out of a thrilling finish. No lie, the penny stamp got third, and of course the Farag surprise, who made the pace quite a hot one. Bentham certainly didn't fire, and it's a pity that we didn't really see him at all at his best as he was about 2 years back. Here comes the winner. That's Jerobian, being led back to Willis Enclosure by Robert Bermudez, and then he ran Sandy aboard Jerobian, and this one takes his earnings close to $200,000 for his victory. The winning time on the board 155.06. Winning distance ahead. Tremendous finish by these 2 top-class horses in Jerobian.
What a great race, guys.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. That's one of the best races in my mind that Emil has ridden.
Okay. But a lot of people may ask me about this horse, Jerobian. Is he the best horse you trained?
No, not by a long shot. He was a good horse.
He was a good horse.
Big horse.
He seemed to have a lot of fans here in Barbados for some reason.
Well, he was a very popular horse. He was owned by Sir Ellis Clark and his son Peter and Robert Bermudez, and you could see from the crowd and the ovation he got coming back in.
Yes.
You know, again, that was a Porter Concourse trained in San Fernando by Vincent Roberts.
Right.
And Port of Spain against San Fernando, the same sort of thing. But Jerobian was a great, he was an enormous striding horse, and I don't believe if Jerobian raced in Barbados, it beat C-Class.
Yes.
He couldn't handle the turns.
Yes.
And you notice that Emil knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he straightened him up and he got him balanced, he stride out. He's a big striding horse. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you a little story about Jerobian. I went to England, and when I was chairman of the racing authority, as you know, I was chairman of the racing authority for 10 years, we sponsored the Trinidad Racing Authority, sponsored a day's racing at England, Pontefract. And I was chairman of the whole contingent there. It was a lovely day. And while I was there, a gentleman came up to me and he says, you are from Trinidad? I said, yes. He said, look, I have an interest in Trinidad. I want to know something. I bred a horse called Jerobian, and I put in his sales, and it's sold, and my wife and myself was very fond, and we all tried to follow this horse. We understand it was sold to Trinidad. Can you tell me something about what happened to it? So I started to laugh. He said, why are you laughing? I said, because I trained it. They came to Trinidad. Dr. Bennett bought it for the class, and they came to Trinidad. And every time we came off the ship, it came to me, and I trained it. And he was a great horse. He was excited, and I said, unfortunately, which barely happened. He stumbled in a race at Union Park. At Union Park, going 7 furlongs, they had a walkway covered with grass, and he stumbled, and broke his hind leg, and he had to be destroyed.
Wow.
That was the end of it. But he was sad to hear that, but he was happy that he knew that he was well. He was a good horse, and Emil got on well with him. Emil knew him, you know. Emil rode some great races for me. I won a lot. Ali was brilliant. You know, I had jockeys. Hugh Blades would have been brilliant. Hugh had a fall, as you know, and hurt his back. And I take full blame for that, because the race he fell in, he didn't ride. It was not one of our horses. And who of the horse was a good friend of mine, and he came to say, Joe, I want Emil to ride this horse. I know I'm due to ride the horse. I said, he doesn't want to ride all the races and all that. And he said, please. And I said, I told you, look, he's a friend of ours, ride the horse. And he fell long, and he was nearly crippled for life. He was in there for 30 days. You know, we didn't know he had ever walk again.
Wow.
And he came back and rode up there. But he was, and his father, as you know, you must have heard, he Blades.
Yes.
But he was a brilliant jockey. He was
Yes.
a major, and his father.
Yes.
And he rode in Trinidad and lived in Trinidad for many years. Bunty was a genius. Bunty, and remember, I went to Barbados. I used to go to Barbados racing a lot of times. So, because of my interest. And I went to Barbados. I heard there was this young Blades boy, Bunty's son. I knew Bunty and his wife riding. And I went and I saw him ride on an apprentice at the garrison. And after the racing, I went to Bunty. I said, Bunty, I'm looking for an apprentice, and I would love your son to come to Trinidad. And Bunty said to me, Joe, Hugh is not ready for Trinidad yet. I know Trinidad.
Wow.
Give him a little more time. Whenever he's ready, I'll call him and let you. And I can assure you, he wouldn't work for anybody else in Trinidad. So I said, fine. And it wasn't long afterwards, Hugh had ridden a lot of races. But the one thing about Bunty insisted, and I don't know how many Bajans know this, Bunty made sure that the first 12 races that Hugh rode, he did not carry a whip. Bunty insisted that he would not carry a whip for 12 races. He didn't think he knew enough of it. And even all his career, he was not a great user of the whip. He was a great user of the whip to encourage the horses. So Bunty called me once and he said, look, Joe, I think he was ready for Trinidad now. If you would have him, I said, absolutely, send him. And Bunty's brother was coming to Trinidad. He said, look, my brother is coming to Trinidad to do some business. I will send you down with him. He's staying at the Hilton, and you can pick him up there and look after him. I said, sure. So that afternoon, I was at the club. And I told my wife, I want you to go to the Hilton, and you will meet a young jockey called Hugh Blades. Pick him up and bring him home. I come from the club and meet him home. He's coming to stay with us. I had no problem with that. So when she got to the Hilton, she rang me and she said, Joe, I'm in the lobby here, but I'm not seeing any jockey. I said, he must be there. He's waiting. The only person I see in the lobby is a little child on a couch. I said, go and ask that little child. And she came and she said, yes. I said, what's for? I said, Joe, I cannot be this little child you bring in the right horses. I said, no worry. But then he lived with us. He was like my son up to the day. And he got on, he rode many winners. He was a genius. And one thing that Hugh did that a lot of jockeys didn't do is Hugh had his own tap. Got that from his father. He had his own saddle, his own goods, singles, everything. He looked after his tap. And Hugh lived with that up to the day. He's like one of my sons, you know.
Right.
And I'll give you another story about Hugh. There was a good horse called Dan from Barbados.
Yes.
He won a good mile and a half horse.
Yes, that's right. Patsy Springer owned him.
Yes.
Owned it. Dan, no horse could beat him going a mile and a half. And we had mile and a half races in Trinidad, and he won everything. So there was a mile and a half race at Arima, and Darren Dan had the top weight of 136 pounds, and they didn't claim. And I had a horse in the race owned by Sir Ellis Clark called So and So. It had 98 pounds.
Wow.
So I said to Hugh, I know you can't catch 98. You're just above that. But I want to tell you, if we carry 1/2 a pound overweight, we have no chance against Darren Dan. The only chance we have to beat Darren Dan, we must carry 98 pounds.
Right.
Train and then tried and entered the store, and he sweat in the car, and he got down to 98 pounds. And he rode a brilliant race, going a mile and a half at Arima. He caught Dan in the last stride and beat him by the shortest of it.
Wow.
If we had a half pound more or quarter pound, we would not have beaten Derry. So anyway, happy and he went to Bobby. And he told us that he went to the sauna to lose 2 pounds to get down to 98 pounds.
Wow.
But Sean, I had a call from Bunty Bay. He said, Joe Hadeed, let me tell you something. I spent my life in racing in a sauna, sweating, starving, doing everything to keep me down. I do not want my son to do that. If my son had to go in a sauna, do not give him the ride, get somebody else. I don't ever want him to sweat to ride a horse. I said, Bunty, I appreciate that. I'm very sorry. I apologize. And he was adamant. And those jockeys, they went that thing. You know what Jonathan Jones went through. I had jockeys. I had a jockey, a good jockey, Timmy Murray, brilliant young jockey. But he was happy. And he lived us a piece of cricks and for the day.
Yes.
And my wife used to complain, oh, you're going to starve this, my boy to death. He can't eat. He can't. That is when you have jockeys that have to keep their way down. That's the profession. That's the hazards of the profession. Some of them are naturally like. Emil was naturally like. Emil never had to sweat. You didn't have to sweat because he was light, but he sweated on that occasion. Charlie lived in a sauna. Charlie used to lock himself in the car every morning before races and sweat to lose 2 or 3 pounds. And it's a hell of a profession. You work hard at it, you know. And all the success that the job gets, you deserve it to work hard to do that.
What about the filly, Sparkling Kitty?
You know, I had great owners. Sparkling Kitty was owned by Rodney Jones. Good filly. She won a lot of races. She was a good steer. She was a brilliant filly. I thought she would have been successful at stud. You know, Roddy had a reputation. Rodney Jones, in my mind, knew more about horse racing than Charlie. Roddy studied horse racing. Roddy is a student of pedigrees. And Roddy was very interested in horse racing. And bought a lot of good horses. Roddy bought some mares from the Queen when he had his farm in Barbados, and a lot of the good foundation mares that we had. What you call Style and Flair and all those great horses all came out of Rodney's female line, you know.
Yes.
Rodney is a student of reason. And all that. They had great racing men. Friendly with John Goddard. John was a great racing man, and John bred a lot of good horses. I trained. Blueprint came to Trinidad and won a lot of good races, and he was best horse in Barbados. So David Seals gave me a lot of horses, and I looked after his horses, a lot of races. In those days, the Bajans came to Trinidad to race. They stayed at the Queen's Park Hotel, which is across the road from the Port of Spain.
That's right.
And a lot of people know that MER owned Mentone. Mentone used to come to Trinidad to race in a schooner. MER owned schooners. That was the business. And all the horses had to be in Mentone. When they came to Trinidad to race, he used to put them on a schooner Tuesday or Wednesday night. They arrived in Trinidad 24 or 30 hours afterwards on the schooner in a box and raced on Saturday. You know, Mentone was a genius. A lot of great horses, a lot of great foundation mares we had. Like Chandler's had a good foundation mare. George were well bought from them. Through one of the best Creole sprinters I ever trained at Royal. That foundation came from Barbados. Chandler's brother, and we had good horses from. I bought a lot of horses from Barbados. They're very good. I won the Easter Guineas and was John Goddard had horses there for many years and good horses. Legends they were good grooms, and and when we decided to get horses from Jamaica, we got a lot of Jamaican grooms. At one time, I 12 by I think by 18 grooms, 12 or 13 were Bajans and Jamaicans.
Mhm.
And the reasons for that is that when the Bajans or Jamaicans came here, they had to live in the paddock. They had nowhere to
Yes.
live. So they were in the paddock 24/7. The
Yes.
Trinidad grooms lived in Lavantil and Bossier and St. James, and they had to get to the paddock every morning. But the Jamaicans and the Bajans, they were good grooms. They had no choice but to live in the paddock. So that was one of my strong points. I took advantage of that, and I thought
Do
that
you
people
know a guy by the name of
very good.
Do you know a guy by the name of Ham Dog?
Hamdog was one of my grooms, and then he became a blacksmith. I know Hamdog well. He was one of my
The dog,
grooms,
the
and then
dog
he
is
became
still barking.
a
The dog is still barking.
He is around. Well, it used to give him my regards. And now a boy that came into the paddock and worked for me, the first involvement in races was Nathan Squires.
Yes.
Nathan came
Yes.
from school, boy in the paddock, worked for me for a long time. Roy Gordon, my head lad, trained with Nathan, everything about horses.
Yes.
And Nathan was I'm so proud that he went to Barbados and he's done well.
Yes.
But
In
he
Canada
worked for
now,
me.
winning races.
They walk out. Yes. Yeah. A lot of that. We had a group. His nickname was Monkey.
Yes, Gal Monkey.
Gal
Gal
Monkey. Gal Monkey.
Lara. His son Rod.
Yeah.
Last time Lara, I bred him and I couldn't get what I wanted for him in the sales. I kept him and I gave him to my son. All
Yes.
the colts ran in my son's name, and he was very friendly with Brian Lara. They went to Fatima College together.
Okay.
So he named all his horses last time Lara, Lara Legend, Lara 5-1, and he named last time Lara.
Yes.
And Dale Whittaker rode him for us. And in that race, I had another filly owned by one of my real good owners, Alvin Putin, called Coney Island. And we thought she was the better horse at the Derby. So I brought Emil from Canada. I used to bring Emil along to a lot of race meetings, right? And we put Emil on Coney Island, and Dale Whittaker rode last time Lara. Well, Lara won, and Coney Island didn't fire. And Emil was upset. He said, "You put me on the wrong horse. You brought me all the way from Canada." I said, "Well, I thought I was putting you on the right horse." But Dale rode the horse very well. He was fit, and he won the Derby last time.
Uh-huh.
You know, I looked after my jockeys. I had, I always say, you can always get another owner. If you lose an owner, you can get another good owner. If you lose a good horse, you will get another good horse. But once in your lifetime as a trader, you will get a good jockey. I cherish the relationship I had with jockeys. I never had an argument with any jockey.
I have a message here for Dr. DeGans. He told me to say hi from his daughter.
Oh, yes, yeah, Dr. Greg DeGans. Or Rogans.
Greg. Yes, right. That's right. Yes.
Greg. Yeah, Greg. Yeah, his daughter is
Marianne DeGans.
Marianne, well, but she's a real. Yes, and Greg was a great horseman.
Yes.
Greg was a good vet.
Yes.
And if he had took the veterinary medicine, I don't know, he would have been, in my opinion, might have been still alive and he would be very successful.
Yes.
But Greg tried to get involved in training. And Greg worked with Mark Hassey.
Yes, right.
Greg worked with Mark Hassey for a long time. And then
he was assistant and went on his own.
And he stopped with Mark. Yeah, that's right. And you know, I had a lot of good vets around me, and I always tell them, I don't know any of them that would have been successful trainers. Dr. Bennett was one of the greatest vets we ever had. He worked here, he worked in Barbados, he helped me build my stable. And he always thought he knew everything, and he taught how a jockey should ride and ride. I said, Steve, if I gave you all my horses and all Cold Durant horses, you would be hard pressed to win a race. We had different ideas. And to be honest with you, I trained.
That's real bad to tell a man that though.
Yeah. I trained seven. We were very close friends. I trained seven of him, and one of the conditions he used to tell me, I am coming to the ring. I will give my jockey instructions. I don't want you to give my jockey instructions. And he was successful. He won a lot of races, and he knew what he was doing. And I remember he bought a horse for Jas Simonet from Martinique called Made of Wales, a good C-class horse. And in those days, we raced at Union Park Saturday and Sunday. Easter Saturday was races, and Easter Monday was races. And Made of Wales entered C-class race on Saturday. He won. He was also in the President's Cup on Monday. And I said, well, I'm not going to run out again in 48 hours. And Steve was responsible for that. I said, Steve, I'm not going to the race. She won a C-class race, and I don't think she's good enough for the Governor's Cup. Let's leave her out and give her a chance. He said, you give me a break. I am telling you, I am instructing you to enter the declare Made of Wales on Monday. I said, Steve, but she just ran. Give her a chance. He said, no, I am telling you. And don't worry, I don't need to book a jockey. I will get a jockey. I had a favorite in the race, Crown Prince, with Charlie, owned by Peter Clark. And he said, I know you want Crown Prince to win, you know. Ellis Clark horse, and he's the favorite. Charlie riding him. But you leave it to me. So he booked Bison. You know Bison.
Yes.
He lied in Barbados.
Yes.
Live all night in Barbados.
Yes.
Bison was light. And weighed 98 pounds, and Made of Wales had 98 pounds in the President's Cup. So he booked Bison, and he told me, I don't want you to talk to Bison. I will give him an instruction. I didn't take him on. I didn't think she had a chance. But lo and behold, Sean, at the end of this, Charlie was winning on Trump. And Charlie even started to get ready for the camera. Bison brought Made of Wales from the last with a driving fish in 98 pounds. Caught Crown Prince on the pole and beat Crown Prince. Well, for years I couldn't end of that from Steve. I would not have run any race, but anyway, and he was successful. A lot of times, what he wanted done, and he was right. He was right most of the time, you know. He was great, and he was a jockey, and nobody believed that. He had a lot of good friends in Barbados, and he was a real good vet, you know. And I had good people around me. I could never race anything good to me. I had great owners. I never had an argument or disagreement with any of my owners. They had absolute confidence in me, whatever I did. But one thing I ensured, and I always did, Sean, I never broke a rule. The rules, racing is about betting. As long as you have betting, you're going to get people trying to circumvent rules. I never broke a rule. The people I trained for, I couldn't afford to break a rule because winning or losing made no difference to them. They wanted their horses to do the best. And they blood racing, and they didn't win or draw. And horse racing is about losing. You have 80 or 90 horses rented for Saturday's racing. But there are only 7 winners. So the other 93 are losers.
Yes.
Horse racing is about losing. You have to be able to lose, take the licks. And when you win, enjoy it. But you have plenty more losers than winners in horse racing. That is why it's called the sport of kings, you know. And I remember at one time, when they just formed the Owners Association in Trinidad, there was a race meeting in Port of Spain, and the owners decided that they wanted more prize money, and they would go on strike. So all the trainers, Colt and myself, called the trainers together and said, fellas, I don't know what's going on here, but the owners most of the owners give us instructions not to have horses to go to strike. So I said, well, I'm an employee. I have to talk. All the owners I have horses entered for Saturday and see if they will go along. So they said, no problem. I said, well, I'll get back to you. I had, between Colt and myself, we had the majority of horses. And if Colt horses didn't run, they had no races. Or if mine didn't run, they had no races. And if mine ran, they had races. If Colt ran, they had races. So I called my owners. And Sean, you will be amazed. Every single one that I had a horse to race, and so I said, Joe, I don't care if the prize money is a bunch of coconuts. I don't care if we're racing for a silver cup. I want my horse to run. I can afford it. This is my pleasure. And I am not, you cannot not run my horse. If my horse is fit and well and you think it should run, it must run. I am not. I went back. We had a meeting. I have bad news for you. All my trainers said they don't care. Prize a bunch of coconuts, they want to run. And I have to run my horses. Well, the strike break up. Everybody's, well, if Joe running the horses, I gonna run mine. A lot of Colt owners also told him their horses must run because we had a lot of common owners. A lot of my owners had horses with Colt. So the strike match up, and races went on. And that is racing. It's about winning. And I don't know any of my owners that ever left racing during a fight. You can't. And I've had owners who won derbies and Gold Cups and all that. That's what it's about, And it's and one of the policies of philosophies I had is that it is the trainer's responsibility to ensure that it costs the owners as little as possible to race a horse because he's going to lose.
Correct.
And you should not be paying anything that you should not have to pay for. If you say for this horse to swim twice, charge him twice. Don't charge him 3 and 4 times. If whatever the black tip, you have to make sure it costs a little less to keep you because you're going to lose. That's his fun. And that was my philosophy. And actually, at one time, the trainers wanted to increase their fees. Everything got more expensive. And he said, fellas, I don't know if the owners could afford it. I'll tell you what I intend to do. I'm not going to increase my fees. But what I'm going to do, instead of charging 10% commission, I'm going to charge the owners 12.5%. Because if you own a race, you don't mind paying a little extra. And that will offset running and keeping the horses, and you're going to have to charge the owners more to keep the horses. Well, a lot of the trainers did that. A lot didn't. A lot charged the owners more. But, that you have to keep the owners in the game. A lot of them could afford it, and a lot of them could afford $5,000 or $6,000 a month to keep it. That's their fun, and they must enjoy it. And that is why I didn't train bottom classes. When my horses got down into 3 class, I used to tell you, look, this is no fun again. Get rid of them. And
yes,
as a matter of fact, a lot of them were quite successful. But they got to enjoy it, and they got to be comfortable, and they got to have their horses must be well looked after. I never had any problem with that.
I have two questions here. Anthony Andrews is asking about Ellis. How is Ellis? You know who Ellis is?
Ellis Alafal. Yes, he was. Ellis Alafal was assistant to Boboy Mirage. Nice boy.
Okay.
He's not in racing, but I'm in touch with him. I speak to him every day. I'm sure he's listening to the program tonight. Ellis was a great horse when he learned a lot. He was responsible for a lot of Boboy Mirage's success.
All right, but this is one of
first every morning.
This is one of the boys here, man. Anthony Andrews, who he spent some time in Barbados with us. He's in Florida now. So, and then the other question is, people asking about your book. We talked about it on the backside just now. Want to know where they can get the book, man? Help us.
Well, I will get some back. When I launched this book, I came to Barbados and we had a big launch at the Turf Club.
Yes.
And all the members of the Turf Club were there. And this book was available at Dare's bookstore on Cape Shepherd for years,
Yes.
and they were not selling, and they were
Okay.
selling in Trinidad. And I didn't really write this book to sell them to make. I sold the books to offset the cost. It was very expensive to produce
Yes.
these books.
Yes.
And this book is not my autobiography. It's not my life. It is about my life in all the jockeys. There's a story about every single jockey that ever rode for me. Every owner I trained for, there's a story. Everyone was different owners. They had, and you had to try and please all of them. Everybody enjoyed. Some of them came to the paddock to see their horses every day. Some never came. I won the race, a classic for owner that never saw the horse until the day of the race, and owners, I bought and sold horses for their owners that didn't even know. I remember buying Loti for Mr. Cannell. He had absolute confidence in me, and I used to pay all his bills and buy horses for him. And Steve Bennett bought Loti out from England for Ja Simonette, Martinican. I trained him, and she was a good filly. And then Ja said he was getting out, he wanted to sell the horse. And I said, Steve, what do you want for it? And he told me, I don't know, 20 or 25,000. And I said, okay, I will buy it for Mr. Cannell. Mr. Cannell was in Florida, but he had a farm here, and he was in Florida. So I bought the horse from Mr. Cannell, and I had power, and I changed it to Mr. Cannell's name. And Mr. Cannell didn't know. I never even had a chance to call him and say, look, you own a horse, I bought a horse. So I think he heard that Loti ran in his colors and won. And somebody rang and said, oh, Maurice, congrats. You want to race today? He said, I want to race. I didn't know how the horses ran. So he rang me. He said, Joe, I want to race today. I said, yes. I bought a horse called Loti. And she ran today and she won. Hugh Blaze rode up. He said, God, well done. But I didn't know it. He didn't know he owned the horse. That's the kind of confidence that.
Well, Mr. Hadeed, we have a video here of Loti beating Windy Hill. Would you like to take a look at that?
This crowd has been
always look at it.
This is the Trinidad Turf Club Trophy handicap for the top class bunch going 1720 meters for a first prize of $15,000. A field of 10 taking entry, headed by Loti, ridden by Winston Walton today at 14-1. There's Eagle's Wing, Peter Bally rides at 7-1. Boundary Bay, Venice Richards, the jockey, 8-1. Country Warrior, this American-bred horse, ridden by Voodoo Singh. There's Abbotsbury, K. Jaddo, the rank outside at 99-1. Windy Hill, the top-class colt, today ridden by Najir, who is going to claim and bringing the Windy Hill's weight down to 59.5 kilos. Windy Hill is the 3-2 betting choice. There's Wee Fred, taking on the A-class bunch for the first time, ridden by Ram Sami. Drum Fada, dropped in class recently to B1, ridden by Ranjit Kasoon today. Sea Ruler, ridden by Chin Suin at 30-1, and Green Haze, the horse the punters here feel who has a chance to beat Windy Hill. He is in a 2-1, ridden by his regular jockey Eric Sudama. So 10 runners going to first for the Trinidad Turf Club Trophy handicap. 10 runners and they're all away. Let's see who's going to pick it up. Green Haze coming away very fast on the outside. Looks like he's going to pick it up now. It's Green Haze, Boundary Bay, Windy Hill, the favourite. Green Haze and Windy Hill passing the grandstand for the first time. Boundary Bay, there's Green Haze going across now to lead from Boundary Bay. Wee Fred, Windy Hill, Drimfada, Abbotsbury, Loti. There's Country Warrior, Eagles Wing, and 5 lengths back to Sea Ruler. Green Haze going around the bottom bend in the lead by a length from Wee Fred. There's Boundary Bay in third, Drimfada, and Windy Hill just about touching in fifth. But Wee Fred passes Green Haze as they pass the 1,200 metre marker. It's Wee Fred by a length and a half from Green Haze. Then Boundary Bay going well in third, Drimfada with a lightweight in fourth. Then Windy Hill and Loti moving up. Also there's Eagles Wing, Abbotsbury, and Country Warrior and Sea Ruler catching up. They've got 1,000 metres to race, and Wee Fred showed by 2 lengths from Boundary Bay. Then Green Haze in third. Drimfada coming under the whip, and Windy Hill moving so easily past them now. It's Wee Fred from Boundary Bay and Windy Hill in third now. They got towards the 800 metre mark, and with Wee Fred leads by 2 lengths from Boundary Bay, and in third on the outside is the favourite Windy Hill. 3 lengths back to Green Haze, is not doing too well at this stage with that big weight. 600 metres they've got to race, and Wee Fred leads the pack from Boundary Bay, and Windy Hill challenging and moving into second now. Loti is coming with a run in fourth now. 400 metres they've got to race in this big race today, and it's Wee Fred being challenged by Windy Hill. As the Wee Fred from Windy Hill, then instead on the outside is Loti with a lightweight. Looks dangerous at this stage. They're straighten up into the home bend now, and it's Windy Hill being challenged by Loti on the outside, and Loti is in fact
Pointing Windy Hill at this stage. Loti to the chairs of the grandstand has picked it up. And this Irish bred mare is coming away to beat the favourite Windy Hill. Loti is going to win this one from Windy Hill. Weeford is third. Eagles Wing running onto fourth. Fifth is Green Haze, Sea Ruler, Bantry Bait, Roomfather, Country Warrior, and Abbotsbury last of the lot.
What a fantastic race for the feature event today, the Trinidad Turf Club Trophy Handicap. There were so many arguments. Loti was outclassed. Loti does not like firm ground, but she certainly won as she well liked here. She beat the favourite Windy Hill coming away. Loti beating Windy Hill, Weefred, and Eagles Wing in the feature race, race number 9.
Very lovely to have all these videos for you, Mr. Hadeed. You get a chance to look at them
Well,
yourself.
Brent, thank you very much. Do you have the race that you won for me?
I wish I had found it. I got the picture as I was showing you earlier. I could show our viewers.
Let's show us the picture, man. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
This is in July 6, 1992 on Speed Fair. I think that was at the Savannah, wasn't it?
that's right. Addis Ababa. That horse was owned by a great racing stalwart, Mrs. Shea. She loved it. She died at a ripe old age. She lived, her life was racing. She owned champions. She brought on Declan Gillespie, and she was a great woman. She was, every time, whenever a horse lost a race, she would phone me and apologize.
Well,
But it was great, and I cherish. I looked after my jockey. I
really
can tell you
appreciate
that
riding me a few times here in Trinidad.
I tell you, Brent, I had an owner accused Charlie of not doing this, and that owner had 5 horses with me, good horses. I knew Charlie was riding a horse for them called Reflection, who hadn't run for a long time. Hugh Blaze was riding Red Wine, owned by Richard Atkinson, who was very friendly with Charlie. So I told Charlie, look, if she has no chance, don't beat her. We got a Creole race in 2 weeks' time. She hasn't run for a long time, and she used to bleed a bit, and we had to give her a rest anyway. So halfway, Charlie realized, and Charlie was an expert at this. He knew early in a race if he had a chance or not. And as a matter of fact, he got in trouble a lot of times for dropping his hands. I never beat up a horse if he didn't have a chance. And Charlie realized that halfway up the straight, when she looked like she wasn't pulling out, and he eased up. And Hugh came on the outside with Red Wine and won the race. But lo and behold, everybody started to say Charlie didn't try. Richard Atkins is his buddy. He's a Bajan horse. He that. He didn't. And the racing authority only wanted an excuse to get at Charlie. There was one member of the authority there who didn't like Charlie because he was too successful. And so they had a big inquiry, and they convinced the owners to tell the authority that's that time the Charlie is best. But I can tell you something. If there's one person in the world that don't like losing, it's Charlie Jones. Nothing. And I know that. What happened? They had an inquiry, and they put on Charlie for 3 months.
What?
Charlie was upset. I got upset, very upset. And I told the owners, take the horses away. 5 good, a big owner. That I have to pick up my jockeys. Charlie is my jockey, and if you're not satisfied, and you could do that. So they took the horses away. So 2 weeks afterwards, the horses come in the Creole race. You ride it, the same horse that you, Charlie, are not riding. So all the trainers were telling me, Joe, if you win this race, you know how bad it'll make Charlie look. I said, I don't care, Charlie didn't do anything wrong. You won the race. and Charlie was grounded, suspended for 3 months.
Wow.
Well, Charlie is so great that for the 3 months that he was suspended, we had no racing. We had a virus. We had no racing. So he had no suspension. But he was naturally. Charlie got stopped. He was very upset. He had a right to be. He did nothing wrong. And that also made them change the rules. From that day, they decided to put down jockeys for race days and not time. If they don't put it down for a month, they put it down for 10 race days. So if it's 10 races, 2 months, you can ride for 2 months. If they put on for 3 months, and we had no racing for 3 months. And that was awful. People accuse jockeys of not doing, and then I had another incident with Emil. Emil was riding. Hilario was the best, one of those I ever trained. And Emil rode Hilario, and the horse he had to beat was a horse trained by Cole called Bovic. Emil got in all kinds of trouble. Had a terrible race. He got to Bovic. Bovic beat him the shortest of heads. He took the camera, I will tell you, minutes to separate them. Lo and behold, somebody warned us that Emil didn't do his best. Emil didn't try. I said, are you want people? You know how brilliant Emil would have to be to lose a race by a short head and not do his best? They said they didn't want Emil to ride. They said they didn't want Emil to ride the horses again. I said, Emil is my stable jockey. If he can't ride his horses, get somebody else to train him. But one of the owners was my close friend, and he knew that didn't happen. Just one other who felt Emil. He was so upset that Bovic beat Hilario, and there was chalk and cheese between the horses. Hilario was a furlong better than Bovic. So I told him, and he begged me. He said, "Look, so I can."
Hello?
His internet is in and out all the time.
Yes.
Well, we got the race with Hilario and Emil and Sammy.
Yes.
Bring that race.
But we can bring in the race now.
I'll bring it.
For the Stallion Stakes, the third edition. Still strong support for Bovic. There they go, quickly away and smartly on the outside. Hilario bolts clear of the field by 2 already and leads at the stage from Delfino. Well up to Flying Rocket and Bovic. In fact, Just a Gigolo is just about 4th. Bovic is 5th and about a gap of 7 back to Runway Boy. That's the order. It's Hilario and Flying Rocket upsides, and I guess, in fact, Emil Ramsamy would have liked to be a lot further ahead, but he still leads from Flying Rocket and Delfino showing good pace, and Just a Gigolo showing quite well too. Bovic is just about 5th at this stage, and the pace is quite a good one for the 2-year-olds here in the Stallion Stakes. It's the Hadid runners going 1-2 at the stage, Hilario and Flying Rocket, but Bovic is cruising under Ranching Cassoon. Just a Gigolo showing up quite well too, and they've gone well clear of Delfino and Runway Boy, these two well out of it. Coming right back to the corner, the leader is Hilario and Flying Rocket on the outside. Bovic just behind them. Just a Gigolo looks beaten. Into the straight they come, and Flying Rocket coming to deliver his challenge with Bovic, but Hilario still holds the advantage. On the outside, Bovic not finding much here, but Hilario is holding on. It looks like Emil Ramsamy is picked right. He does, because he's going clear on the speedy Hilario by 3. He's opening up daylight here. Wins it by 3.5 from Bovic. Flying Rocket gets 3rd. Then Just a Gigolo, a gap of 25 back to Runway Boy. Last of the lot, Delfino. Well, many people thought that Emil had picked wrong here on Hilario and passing up the chance of riding Flying Rocket. Well, at the turn it certainly looked that he did in fact pick wrong, but Hilario quickened where it mattered, and the small colt went away from the field. He is by American Honor, who has already thrown so many winners that one can lose count, and out of them is Sorority, and bred by Trevor Panetta and Dee Prattfoot, and being led back by the owners and breeders. This 2-year-old really taken his bankroll up some $34,000, in fact, for the fine performance. Emily's 2nd start on a track, and did he ever beat them here? And the Stallion Stakes, an important victory for Hilario, coming in from Bovic, who just got the better of Flying Rocket. just a gigolo, good effort in fourth, but safely held by the first three. So the results there, the Stallion Stakes.
That was a great ride there.
So which track that was? Because there was there's four different tracks, right?
Yeah, that's Queen's Park. That's Queen's Park.
Okay.
That's Queen's Park. Mr. Hadid is still off?
Yes, unfortunately his internet was giving some trouble. I've dropped him an email and we're waiting for him to join us back online.
Okay.
We can continue.
Yes, continue.
While we're doing that, how about we check out a few of his Trinidad Derby winners?
Yes, because people are asking about Beheaded, so we could show Beheaded. Yes.
Okay, well we'll watch the Beheaded race now.
And when he comes back,
Mr. Hadid will be back.
Yes, we'll talk about that when he comes back.
What have our people been saying about Beheaded? What's the lead up to this? I think it's 19 Derby.
19, yes. Hugh Blades won that race with Beheaded. I think that was his first Derby winner.
Okay, Hugh Blades.
Yes.
We should get him on the show one day.
Yes, we must.
Anyhow, but let's watch Beheaded now, and we'll hopefully get back in touch with Mr. Hadid.
Right.
It is 3-year-olds going 1,890 meters, or approximately 9 furlongs and 100 yards. A race long awaited by race fans here in Trinidad and Tobago, and 13 horses to face the starter, including the 2 that represented this country at the Caribbean Classic in Venezuela, when they ran poorly. This time, number 6 Beheaded is the evens favorite, odds on. It's 7-1, number 3 Moon Rocket, who won a race over 9 furlongs on firm going in the absence of these 2. And then after that, it's 10-1, horse number 14. That's Merry Legs, ridden by Willie Carson. 9-1, number 1 Isis. And surprisingly, horse number 10, Royal Boatside, is at... Nice flashing there on the rotors. And they're all away for the 50th running of the Derby. And in the middle of the pack, Beheaded is the one who shows first. Lady Bounty's Equerry is also well up on the rail. And Royal Petition with the hood in between horses. So they race in front of the grandstand for the first time. They've got over a mile to race. And the leader is Beheaded on the rail from Royal Petition. Royal Boatside close up in third. Then comes Stardom on the outside in fourth. Final Bend moving up into a challenging position as well. And in the middle of the pack, we've got Lady Bounty's Equerry and Isis Sorority. And lots as they go around the bottom corner. It's Blaze of Glory. Just under 7 furlongs to race now as they go around the bottom corner. It's Beheaded on a tight rein, 2 lengths clear of Royal Petition, Royal Boatside in third. Then comes Then we come to Isis, Moon Rocket, and Sorority. Up the back stretch they go now. They've got just over 5 furlongs to race, and it's still Beheaded, making all of the running. 3 lengths clear now of Royal Petition. Royal Boatside takes closer order in third. Then comes Stardom in fourth, losing ground. Moon Rocket making a forward move. So too is Sorority. Towards the 4 furlong marker they go now. And it's still Beheaded the leader by just 2.5, 3 lengths now. From Royal Boatside who runs into second spot. Royal Petition is losing ground in third. Then comes Moon Rocket running into fourth. Sorority is fifth. And Lady Bounty's Equerry and Blaze of Glory improving. Past the 3 furlong marker they go now. It's still Beheaded. Lengthening that gap to 6 lengths from Royal Boatside. Royal Petition is in third. Then comes Moon Rocket in fourth. 2.5 furlongs race, and it's Beheaded now all alone, 10 lengths clear at the top of the stretch. They've got just an... He won't be caught now from Royal Boatside. Moon Rocket has run into third. Lady Bounty's Equerry is in fourth. So too is Sorority, and Blaze of Glory rounding the field. Inside the home stretch now, it's still Beheaded who leads by some 15 lengths from Moon Rocket. Here comes Blaze of Glory to challenge for second. But Beheaded is going to win the 50th running of the Derby very easily now. Beheaded wins it from Blaze of Glory, who's just going to get up to beat Moon Rocket for second. In third it's Moon Rocket, then comes Lady Bounty's Equerry, Isis, Royal Boatside, Sorority, Merry Leg, Flying Sparks, Royal Petition, and last of the lot we've got Final Bend. Really didn't raise a gallop, winning very easily by some 11 lengths. This Bay Cold by Beckett out of Whipaway, classified B3, bred by Mr. Savannah and Mr. Alvin Thomas at the Rancho Caballero Sub in Dabadi, and owned by the same connection. Trained by Joe Hadeed, who is here to see him win today, and ridden by Hugh Blades, carried the topping post of 126 pounds. The first winning ride in a derby for Hugh Blades in his first attempt. Second, the big surprise, number 9, Blaze of Glory, a chestnut filly by Princely Paul out of Devon Glory, who was bred 3 derby winners, but today
well, so offspring from one going better.
Welcome back, Mr. Hadid.
Sean,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes, sir.
well, my internet has gone down, so I am using a cell phone to talk to you.
Okay, no problem. By all means necessary. All means necessary. Love it.
Is it plugged in though? So that is
Well,
it plugged
when
in?
I noticed, I was telling you about when Amy lost the job. I kept the horses, and they told me to get another jockey. I said the only other jockey that I would get was Venice Richards.
Right.
Venice rode the horse Hilario and won the Midsummer Classic and a lot of races on him. And Venice was a genius, and I had a very good relationship with Venice.
Yes.
And I don't think he got the credit that he should as a jockey and as a human being,
Yes, correct.
And I will tell you, I was once in Jamaica. I went racing there with Pat Russo.
Yes.
And
good friend of mine also. Good guy.
Yeah, Pat Russo. He was West Indies Cricket Board president at one time.
That's right. Correct.
Great racing man.
He started my career in Barbados, actually.
Correct. And he was responsible for a lot of the closeness between Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados in racing.
Yes, that's right.
So there was an apprentice race, and I saw these apprentices, and they were brilliant. They were all well balanced, lovely seats. So I said, Pat, I can't believe the standard of these apprentices. Do you have an apprentice school? He said, yeah, we have. I said, who's the tutor? He laughed and he said, Venice Richards. Venice Richards was responsible for tutoring a lot of those Jamaican jockeys.
Wow.
And he left Jamaica and went back to Barbados. I don't know what happened in Barbados. And then Charlie rang me and said, Venice doesn't have a job. I was chairman of the racing authority. I said, he doesn't have a job. I said, he has one in Trinidad, send him.
Yes.
And he came to Trinidad. He didn't get his support from the authority that he should get, but he started a riding school here. He's teaching the jockeys. But Venice was brilliant. He was a lovely human being. He won many races for me. He was my outside jockey. If I couldn't get any of my stable jockeys, I would never look further than Venice Richard. He rode for Colts for a long time. We had a great relationship.
Yes.
And I don't know what can be done to remember him as a human being. And at the finish there, he spent all his days in the jockey's room in Trinidad, talking to the jockeys, making sure they're properly dressed. And it's a pity that we didn't get more out of him.
Yes, that was
sad.
Right.
He passed away. What was it? Maybe even a year.
A couple years ago, I think. No, it's a couple years. No, it might be a couple of years, man. But it
would have been so good to record some of his.
Sorry, Sean. Yes. My cell phones are not hearing you too well.
Okay. No, I was saying that it was very sad when Venice died. It was really depressing is the word. To hear what went down. You know what I mean? It wasn't nice. Especially
you're right. He deserved, and a lot of jockeys, we don't have a proper pension plan for jockeys, and we don't have a proper pension plan. We don't look after our jockeys. A lot of them fell by the wayside. A lot of them, after the riding, they have nothing. They're too heavy to ride. They can't ride again, and they can't make a living.
Correct. And that's why I encourage youngsters to go overseas to the international market, because there's so much opportunities to get into other things, when they're finished riding. There's so much opportunities overseas.
Yes, all over the world they're looked after. But anyway.
Yes. It's something we have to do in the Caribbean. Is he gone again?
Yes, unfortunately, it seems like we've lost Mr. Hadid. I think he'll sign back in shortly, I hope.
Yes. But he made a good point there, though. I mean, that's something we got to talk more about. I find
that get involved with the turf clubs. I don't know. if there's it goes back to like the Jockeys Association. We need something to look after them. I mean,
Yes, a better system. I think you need a better system to that designed to help you when you get older, and that at least you could get some kind of, as you said, a pension plan. I mean, all of us here in Barbados used to write and put money into something, but I don't know. I don't know what I put money into. I don't know, because you know what I mean. Where did it go? You know, there wasn't no pension plan, nothing. So it's something that must be done. But this is a problem all over though, because look at this young lady who just fell. I mean, they had to get a GoFund to really help her out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the reason for that is that jockeys who are insured in North America, if you haven't ridden a certain amount of races, the money you're gonna get is chicken feed.
negligible.
It's nothing. You can't survive on it.
No, you know what I mean? And that's crazy, man. I think I think they look after you when you're really injured badly, but that's about it, right?
I mean, we don't want everyone to be on death's door to be looked after, but I mean, like, if you're just career ending,
But Brett, you were injured badly in Barbados. Did you get anything for that?
I think my father had health insurance on me, but no, I didn't get much at all.
Well,
I
you
think
were
Mr. Hadid is back. Hi there,
great.
Mr. Hadid.
All right, you're back on the big screen. All right, you're here. We can see
Okay,
you.
are you with me now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
We can
Yeah,
Thank
see
you
you.
so much, Roger.
It's not,
We were talking, Mr.
I will
Hadid,
give
about
you
what we could.
a story about.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll tell you. You know, in the old days we had a lot of English jockeys.
Yes.
Yeah, Freddie Thurkel, Crossley.
You're going back really far now. You're going back. You're taking us back. You're taking us back.
Yeah,
We weren't
we had a
born
lot
yet.
of good English jockeys
Yes.
right in here, and they were very successful. And
Mhm.
we they Bobby Hardridge and
Yes.
now there was a great jockey called Frank O'Neill.
Yes.
He rode for Lou Fisher, who was a Bajan that lived here, and he had a lot of Bajan horses. That guy had bought horses out of a state line called Fair Joe
Right.
and the derbies. But Frank O'Neill drank, he had a drinking problem.
Oh, there.
So Lou Fisher went a week before the race, the derby. When Frank came to work the horses, when they were finished, he said to Frank, "Bring your clothes. You're coming with me." So Frank said, "Where I come and do?" I said, he said, "You're in my house." And Lou Fisher took Frank O'Neill to his house and kept him in his house for the week before the derby. Brought him to the track, broke down Sheelan. He had a horse called Sheelan for the favorite. Brought him back home, gave him breakfast, looked after him, made sure he went to bed early. Frank didn't touch a drink for the week. And Sheelan won the derby. And the morning after the derby, night after the derby, when Frank O'Neill thought he was going back to Mr. Fisher's home, Mr. Fisher said, "No, I don't need you again. You go do and do what you want. You done your job for me already." And I'll come with a brilliant jockey. We had great English jockeys here. You know, and Freddie Thurkel lived and worked in Barbados.
Yeah, I rode for him when I first started. He was yes, rode for him also. I rode for both of those guys.
Frenchman.
Yeah, my second race, I rode a horse for him called Alamanda, and I got beat a nose by Tony Skeet. Beat me right on the box. It was a horse called Irish Eyes. But the thing about
That was Dr. Peter Ward's horse, Irish Eyes.
Okay, and the thing about it is that even there, but so I rode this horse at 85 pounds or something like that. She was 5 years old at the time, haven't done nothing since a 2-year-old career. But even there was so happy. He let her in like if I won the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was a real grumpy man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That guy was grumpy and always kind of.
He was.
He used to put a little fear in you as a young apprentice, you know? Freddie Turkle used to train for David Steele at the
He
time.
was
So David.
a hard task master.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember
The
Freddie
good jockey,
Turkle.
a brilliant jockey.
Yeah, those guys were. I hear my dad talk about those guys.
Yes.
You know.
What about Murray? You had called the
Frankie
name
Dill.
Murray.
What's that, Brian?
Who's that?
There was a jockey you called earlier, Mr. Hadid, I think. Timmy Murray?
Yeah, Timmy Murray.
Timmy Murray. Yeah, Timmy was an apprentice. Lovely boy. Actually, he's a dentist today, and he's my dentist.
Wow.
And he still loves racing.
Wow.
Timmy was
I
brilliant.
remember as a kid.
Timmy was heavy.
Yes.
Timmy was heavy, and he had a fight with his weight, and my wife used to get vexed with me because Timmy would eat a biscuit and a piece of cheese for the day and sip a juice and all that. It's good. And I would give, you learn a lot in racing. One of the things I learned was not to argue with handicappers.
Mm-hmm.
The handicappers, they know what they're doing. And, I don't know any trainer that ever said, "Your boy, my horse is the weight of the horse. Okay, I didn't get enough weight. I expected plenty more." Every time a horse handicap was a lot weight, every trainer finds it's too much. So I had a horse called the Lord Mayor, a Barbados horse. I bought him for a treat after I had other horses with me. And Timmy rode this horse in an F-class race and won. And he was entered in I entered him in an E and F class race the next time because I said, if I put him by F class race, they're going to give him too much weight. So I entered him in an E and F. And when the weights came out for the E and F class race, he was top weight in an E class race. But boy, I behaved so bad. I said, this is madness. I wrote a letter to the handicappers. And the only thing I did not do is accuse them of dishonesty. I said, you don't know what you're doing. How can you give up F class horse top weight in an E class? So Timmy Murray wrote it, Lord man, he said, trainer, I think there's no chance. I said, Timmy, the horse has no chance. I am in it. So in my letter, I told the handicappers, on account of that, I was going to scratch the horse. But the owner, who traveled a lot, was not in Trinidad very often. He rang me, Joe, the Lord Mayor running on Saturday. I said, no, Arthur, it's not running. They gave it too much weight. He has no chance. And you're going to take a race out of you. He said, well, I don't interfere, but I'm in Trinidad a lot. I'm going to be here on Saturday. And I would like to see the horse run. So if you don't mind, and you hurt the horse, I would like to run it. So I had instructions in the horse. I decided to run the horse. And I put up Timmy. The horse had talked with us. He said, Timmy, look, don't beat him up. You have too much weight. Although he claimed, I think Timmy was only claiming 3 pounds then or whatever. You still have no chance. Well, Sean, Lord Mayor, brisk. I couldn't believe it. He brisk entered the race. The handicappers were more than right. After the race, the stewards called me. And I did what they wanted me for. When I went into the steward's room, the chief steward there, Mr. Aubrey Boyack, a great man with a great sense of humor, he had all the handicappers there in the room. So he said, Hadid, we have a letter here from you to the handicappers, accusing them of dishonesty, claiming that Lord Mayor had too much weight. And he just miscounted by 6 lengths. Said, do you want us to reply to this letter? I said, no. I am sorry. I apologize. And I will never argue or criticize with a handicapper again. I never did. They know we criticize and blame them, all the time. Promote my horse, they should promote it, they have too much weight. That's racing. Handicappers, we had good handicappers here, and they're honest, the integrity can't be questioned. Sure, they would make a mistake. Sure, they have trainers who try to beat them and beat the system. But I don't know anybody that got rich out of being dishonest and racing.
True.
Catches up with you.
True.
It's bigger.
Well, I have
for millionaires.
I have a note here from a guest, Jean-Marc Cozier, and this is what he said.
Yes.
Joe Hadeed was bred to be a horseman, one of the best ever in the world of racing. if he ever got on the international scene, he would have been he would be at the top of his game. So people still love you. They still feel so highly of you, and that's great, man.
I will tell you, when we left the Savannah, we had a function, all the trainers. You know, we used to line, the name of my book is Under the Fiddlewood Tree. Because we used to line under a tree at the sand track called Fiddlewood Tree every morning. And we had a function there, drinks and so on, all the boys were there, all the people. And the last day, and a chap came up to me and he said, Mr. Hadid, I want to present you with a for what? I didn't know this boy at all. The plaque. The plaque read, I spent my life following your horses. I spent my last dollar betting on your horses. But every time I lost, I knew I lost fair. And that is what racing is about.
Yes.
You're going to lose.
Yes.
My worst days in racing, Sean, is when we had favorites. When Charlie wrote for me, every horse, we had rates 1 to 5, 1 to 9 favorites, and they got beat.
Yes.
That night, my wife can tell you, I will be upset. I said, you know, the amount of people came to races today and backed this horse and lost their money.
Yes.
And on form, everything this horse had no right to lose. It's not an exact science. Charlie, I said, Charlie, what happened? He said, Joe, I do know. He said, Joe, I do know what happened to this horse. Just in fire. And his favorite, people lose their money. When people come to races, they must get a fair chance. When you go to the window and you hand the cashier your dollar, they give you a piece of paper. You must have a chance.
Yes.
If there's this honesty and the horse you bet on, when they give you that paper, is not doing its best, you could tear it up and put it in a paper basket. You have no chance. That is not right. I am paranoid about that. The punters must have a chance. Sure, they're going to lose. Sure, we're going to lose more than we win. But when they lose, they must lose fair.
Yes.
And that is what gives racing sustainable character. Now, a punter is the easiest person to get out of racing. If a punter leaves the racetrack and he's satisfied, he throws the race book in a dustbin and he says, he can't. Because I don't know, my horses must have a chance. A lot of times, I remember one meeting, a 5-day meeting at Arima. We had a lovely horse. Charlie came down, worked all the horses. He said, Joe boy, this is robbery. We're going to make a jail for them at Arima. We're going to win up these horses so well. It was a 5-day meeting. The 4th day, the highest one of the horses placed was third. Charlie can't understand. He said, you know, I don't with that. I go and see him. He didn't ride on the last day. He went on the fishing boat and said, I go and fishing. I can't take this. You know, the last day Charlie went fishing, we won 4 races.
Whoa.
that is what. And my horse, the legs, you're disappointed when you won every race, you're going to lose. You take it like a man, and once you lose fair, you don't mind losing. That's why I never broke the rules. I had to race by rules. And once you abide by the rules and you lose. Nothing. I studied rules. And when I was a member of the race authority for 10 years, I was chairman of the race authority. And I was always accused of being too lenient on the trainers because I said, well, I knew what they're going through and I was there.
Yes.
And we had rules of racing from the Jockey Club of England, from Barbados to 1901 and all that. So I sat down with a group and we revised all the rules of racing, bring them up to date. And every trainer that ever came in front of me, the first thing I used to ask them, do you have a rule book? Do you read the rules? Leroy, if we are playing a game and I know the rules and you don't know the rules, you have little chance against it.
That's correct.
Rules of racing are paranoid. Every trainer should study the rules of racing. We may not agree with some rules. Some rules, they're so old that they're not relevant today. Okay, it's our job to change them.
Correct.
My co-Duran and myself spent our life in racing getting rule change and not
Mhm.
run. You know, when I first got in racing to make up a entry form to enter your horse, it was rocket science.
Mhm.
If you're not a scholar, you couldn't break up the program, the entry form. You got to put on the
Yes.
horse's name. You got to put the owner's name. You got to put on the sex of the horse, owner's colors. You got to put on the pedigree of the horse.
Lord.
So I said, cool, but it's ridiculous. These things, this horse is registered with the authority. The pedigree can't change.
Yes.
The sex, if it's changed by them, is now a gelding. The owner's colors can't change. They are the owners. The groom name, the groom license number, we revise that.
Mhm.
And we had it simplified like it is today. And you don't have to do all that. You put on the whole name, put on the name. You don't even have to put the name of the grooms. Right now, at the end of every month, the trainer sends in a report with every horse in the stable and the groom. When that change, you notify the pedigree change. Why I have to write the pedigree of the horse every week? You know? And the owner's colors, all that is there. Well, now it's a lot easier because it's computerized. I talk every days before we had computers, everything was
Yes.
done on a correction and all that. It's much simpler now. And you have to, racing changed all over the world. You have to change with it.
Of
We have
course.
to change our
Go with the
rules
flow. Go with the flow.
to our circumstances, our environment, and make the user friendly
Mhm.
and make them fair to everybody. You know, and try and
What
get
what I,
racing as fair as you can.
what I have found though, I found that because we have so much of our guys now are on the international market, and when they come back home, they're coming back home to still a behind the time system,
Old
that
school.
old school, and they seem to be very frustrated with. I can't believe they're still doing that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And I'm hoping in the near future, because of our international flavor now, we have so much guys in the international market that we have to rise to the occasion and you know, be on the level playing field with the international
Yeah,
market.
look,
That's what I feel.
Sean, with technology today, you can go
Hmm.
in the computer, you know the rules of racing at every racetrack in America. The
Of
rules of
course.
racing in England. Our rules
Yes.
are and one thing I criticize our industry, our jockeys and trainers, they do not have a vibrant enough association.
Correct.
When I got involved in our trainers association, I made sure it was vibrant and respected.
Hmm.
Code Durant himself, and the stewards listened to us. The racing authority listened to us
Hmm.
because we were not selfish. We didn't go there to submit to please me or to please code. And I studied racing. I studied racing like going to university. I subscribe to every racing journal they have in the world. I
Hmm.
right here in this room, I have the history of racing in the West Indies and in the world here.
Wow.
So and a lot of rules are old. They change
Yes.
every day. They change rules to be up to date. You got to modernize. We're modernizing the racing. I tell you one thing. Do you know that the Barbados Turf Club had starting stalls before Trinidad?
Yes.
When I
And I
learned that the
know.
Barbados Turf Club was starting stalls, I went to Barbados to see them because the trainer saying that's madness. Or you don't get a horse in those small boxes. You will take all in and load them. You will never
And they were small too.
we are custom that, right?
Yes.
And Barbados started it. We started and imagine having races without starting. I'll give you a story about that. I had a horse called Matanza. Charlie rode his horse, won 3 races, the race meeting. On the last day, Matanza had a lot of weight. So I said, Charlie, look, I'm going to clean. He said, 400 pounds. It was the last race of the day. So
Mhm.
Charlie went with the stand, and then it was a rainy day. The starting stall stuck in the 7 long shoot. This race was a mile. So they said, they started this race with a flag start. I said, Jesus Christ, there's not one jockey in this race ever in a race with a flag start. Charlie rode the flag starts long before. So I said, boy, walk in the ground. Charlie for me. Charlie came down with a beer in his hand. He said, Charlie is a flag start. I'm taking down the apprentice. You got to ride this horse with top weight. He said, "Joy, man." I said, the only man ever rode and raced with a flag start. So Charlie rode the horse.
After having a beer.
The starter was Flyboot, who was a friend of Charlie and myself from the club. We knew him from the Oval and Club. And they make Portfield, 20 horses. A million tries to get us and set the back of Matanza and waited. When Charlie realized the land and decided to walk up, he put Matanza into a gallop. And when the starter put down the flag to start the race, Charlie was 10 lengths ahead of everybody. In the scanter. One a canter. Jockeys were scrambling behind. They didn't know anything about a flag start. After the race, the crowd about the starter. They said, Charlie, Hadid and Jones' friend, really, all. But Charlie, I knew that none of them get the advantage. Charlie wouldn't have flag start. And after one hour race for top weight in the mud. Charlie was 10 lengths ahead of them. And that is why, but you can't imagine this today. But the trainers have done, we have done great. The horses are well schooled. Some of them give trouble. And I was proud of that. I boast in all my years, only on one occasion, one of my horses went to the start and refused to load. Roy used to load those horses, train them. Today, we had started sorting the parade for the Spain, and my horses had to go through because I knew if you went to the started stalls and you had act up, you get worked up, you lose energy. And one thing that the starter had instructed from me is never put a twitch on one of my horses to put in the stalls. If you had to twitch a horse and force it and lift it up to go in the stalls, he don't want to be there. He don't want to be in the race. And how are we going to run?
Yes.
And by and large, we have done an excellent job over the years. All over in Barbados, here, the attendants, they get the horses get loaded and we race it.
But since we are
you can never have races that will start the stalls and look at that today.
Since we are on subject starting stalls, because we know that Barbados started first, but we also know that Winston Walton was the first jockey to win in both countries. How did that happen?
The first jockey to win
Winston Walton.
The first race at the starting stalls.
Yeah, in Barbados and in Trinidad.
Yeah. Well, Winston rode in Barbados, right? But you started before us.
Okay, so he was a little familiar with it then.
Yeah, and then when we started, when the first race, Winston rode it. He won.
Yes.
But as you know, the starting stalls that we use are different than those that they use in America.
Yes.
We don't allow attendants to stay in the stalls and hold the horses.
No.
Like they do in America. The American box is much bigger and the horses are
those starting stalls that we had were too small for anyone to stand up in. As jockeys, we had to hold them ourselves, right, Sean?
Yeah, right.
You want your horse to be rearing up and lunging forward, but you had to control it yourself.
Yeah.
But Brent, you're right. But today in England, they use the same stalls as those. In England, attendants are not allowed to stay in the stalls and hold the horses. In America, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But Mr. Hadid,
I am easy.
No, you finish your thought, because when you were away, we showed a video of Beheaded, and some people are asking, you didn't get a chance to talk about Beheaded. So continue there and go straight into Beheaded when you're ready.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was lucky to get Beheaded. Beheaded, the owner of the Beheaded, Ian Gordon, trained for them. And Ian was a hot-headed kind of, he didn't have any diplomacy, he didn't really know how to talk to the owners. Ian broke in Beheaded. And then he and the owners, one of the owners, had a clash, and the owner took the horse from Ian, gave it to me before it could run. But Ian really broke in the horse. And Ian, before the Derby, we took Beheaded to Caracas. He won 9 races on the trot. He had a different cruising speed. And I remember one race in Port of Spain in the Midsummer Classic. Cole Duran had 2 horses in the race. He had a fast horse called Cat Weasel. Won his first race by 20 lengths, going 5 very fast. And he had Isis, Venice Richard rode Isis for him for the same owners.
Yes.
So they decided, being headed, he used to go in front, make his own pace, do what he wanted. So he won every race from in front. So they decided they will send Cat Weasel. The headed was a top class horse, and Cat Weasel was a F class horse or something to be headed on. And we'll wait in the back with Isis. And when Cat Weasel was finished with the headed, Venice would run on and beat him. When they passed the stand for the first time, John, his toes were in the air, up in the air. He had all the head's neck, head was between his legs. Cat Weasel with travel refrigerators on the outside, extra ball, trying to stay with beheaded, and he couldn't stay. Different speed, different cruising speed.
Yes.
And Weasel dropped out early and he went on to win by himself. He was a real good horse. When we went to Caracas, I really thought he would run well, and we had a lot of us went down there. But when we got there was a Jamaican trainer called Melad Zaidi. He is the uncle to the Zaidis who got trained recently.
Yes, in Florida, eh? Yes.
He left. Yeah, he left. Yes, he left Japan. He came to Trinidad to train horses for a big owner we had there called George Huggins. He didn't like Trinidad for some reason. He left and went to Caracas. He was the top trainer in Caracas for a century. They used to call him a magician.
Wow.
One every day. When we there, I didn't know. I knew of him, but I didn't really know him. He came to the stables and he asked for me and he said, "I heard about your horse, but it's a very good horse." I said he's won his last 9 races and I really expect him to run well. He turned to me and he said, "Your horse is going to run well for 6 or 7 furlongs. After that, he's going to flop." I said, "Mr. Zaidi, you can't be serious. This horse will stop." He said he's going to have trouble breathing. When you come to Caracas, you're above sea level, and the horses, you have to get used to it. He said, "Don't worry. I'm telling you, you should have been here a month ago, or you should have been here the day before the race."
Wow.
I really didn't take him on. What he said was true. He was put for the first 6 furlongs in second position. And I said, "Well, Craig, this is robbery. When you let go this horse, he can lap them. When you time to ask him to run, when you let him go, he go on pace, flop, finish 1 before last. Couldn't breathe."
Wow.
And he was right. The horse that won the race was a horse from Mexico called Pecatazo. He was ridden by Latif Pinkai. In an army in Mexico the night before the race.
Wow.
And 24 hours. We didn't know about all that. And since then, they had stopped having racing at La Rinconada in Caracas because everybody complained about the altitude. They had the race in Valencia and then in Puerto Rico for all these years where it was a little deal. But the advantage when Beheaded came back from Caracas, having spent 2 weeks at a high altitude, and he came. I'm not saying he would not have won the Derby. He was the best horse in the Derby. But the reason why he was so outstanding in the Derby, because he came down to a normal altitude after being in a high altitude for 3 weeks.
Right.
And we did nothing with him, and he did the Derby. He was a good horse, very good horse. And I think if the Classico was held in Puerto Rico like that did, he would have performed plenty better. And, that's the way it is. And it happens all over the world with horses traveling and horses on Lasix and not being on and tracks allowing Lasix. But he was a really outstanding horse. He should have won the Triple Crown. He ran third in the Guineas. He won in Midsummer Class. He won 9 races on the track. You Blades just put him in front and hold him up, and he would just run away.
What happened in the Guineas? What happened that he didn't win that?
But he didn't run at a 2-year-old. He decided to run at a 3-year-old. His first race, he won a 3-year-old maiden race just before the Guineas, and he was not really mature.
Tight. Yes.
He was very green. He was a big
Yes.
horse. He didn't carry a
Yes.
lot of fresh. He was a big horse. He was very gainly and unbalanced, and he didn't come to hand until after the Guineas. But he had
Okay.
every chance in the Guineas, and he beat. But after the Guineas, he won every other race he ran in.
Wow.
Sure. He was a stallion called Beckett, who really did not have a stallion pedigree. He was a good tough horse, but threw a lot of winners, a lot of good horses, Derby winners. But he was a English horse called the Demon, who was outstanding. But he was a horse he ran. This horse, he was 8 or 10 and down. He threw tough horse. We had a lot of good horses. We had.
A question I want to ask you.
Another horse should have won it Triple Crown.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sean.
Groom should have won it Triple Crown.
Which one's that?
He won the Super Stakes. A Don Groom.
Okay.
He won the Super Stakes in Jamaica.
Oh.
He won our derby. He won one of the most competitive derbies that ever won in Trinidad. He won the derby where you had that good horse road. He was by the Martigan fell out of a good stallion of Barbados. I remember his name just now.
Nosratu?
I think he ran Nosratu.
Yeah.
Yeah. A horse by Nosratu.
Okay.
I think I'm not sure he didn't win the gold. And we had real good horses, good mountain horses.
I know who you mean. Not Federico, huh? The other one is Federico?
No, not Federico, the other one.
The other one I went to Jamaica. Lord.
Yeah.
Right, you should know that horse, man.
Actually,
no.
He went to Canada. I think he won a race in Canada.
Oh, in
He went to
Satatas.
Canada and raced, and he won a race in Canada.
You mean in Satatas?
In Satatas.
In Satatas.
I ran a couple of races on it.
Yeah.
And Slade.
Yeah, he won a lot of races. You won race.
Callahan won a stake race at Woodbine within Satatas. 1994.
Yeah, he was in our derby.
1990.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Ron
that.
is one of the best talents we ever had.
Yes, I agree with that.
And he was a very competitive champion. Although he didn't won that derby very easy at Arima. He won him. He was third in the Guineas. He should have won the Guineas too, but it was my fault. I took too long to castrate. He was a good 2-year-old working well, and every time we put him in a race, he just getting beat. He wasn't doing his best. He was struggling.
Yes.
And I said to Mr. Punter, look, this is a better horse. Let's cut him. And after we cut him, it was just a few weeks before the Guineas. He got an infection. He wasn't quite right. He ran 30. Dale rode him, and then he won him at some class. He won champion stakes. So he went to Jamaica, and he beat one of the best horses, a horse called a filly in Jamaica. She was a champion, and he beat her out of sight. He won it. Brian Harden rode him in that race.
Okay. You had such a variety of great jockeys riding for you, though. That's amazing, though. Because everybody you call there now were great riders.
Yes.
And that's going back from when you started.
I always and I have my book here.
Yes.
And I will tell you the jockeys that rode for me and the number of races they won. It's in my book.
That'd be very interesting.
Because you
it's also have right jockeys.
Yes.
Emil Ramzani, 253 races.
Right.
Emil won 253 races for me.
Yes.
Charlie Jones, 141 and a half.
All right.
Why the half?
Dead heat.
Half. Oh, the dead heat.
Yes.
Yeah. Hugh Blades won 117 races for me. You had the horse spell, and you would have been brilliant. He was
Yes.
bright. He was brilliant. His career ended too short.
Yes.
We've
Then
heard many people say
Hanif
that.
wrote for me after Hugh Blades.
Yes.
Hanif wrote for me. He won 37. Timmy Murray, my
Yes.
37 races. Winston Walton, he wrote for me one meeting when I thought I wouldn't win a race because I had no jockey.
Yes.
And Winston won 32 races for me.
Wow.
Venice won 32 races for me.
Wow.
And them Francis, Savannah, Bon Charles. But if you look at the top three,
yes,
Emil 253, Charlie 141, Hugh Blades 117.
yes.
If you add that up, you get 4, 5, 600 of my 1,200 races on my 3 jockeys.
In 3 jockeys.
3 jockeys.
You
had mentioned Dale Whitaker as well.
Good jockeys. I looked after. Dale Whitaker won 30 races for me.
Right.
Yes.
And even Hanif give you a shout out. Hanif says to say hi.
Hanif,
yeah, man.
Hanif wrote 75 winners for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hanif in Mamali. He got heavy. I had good apprentices.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of you, John. A lot of top trainers they worked on their assistants. Ben Mendez was my assistant. Stephen Jardine was my assistant.
Yes.
The boys like Kenny De Silva when I took over the table. John O'Brien, well, he was not my assistant. I trained a lot of horses for John. It's the one who helped me a lot in race. John was the wrong way all the time. I'm very proud of that. They all did well. Sorry?
No, but John O'Brien's father, who you started with, was Tom O'Brien, right?
Tom O'Brien, Terence O'Brien.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a trainer, good trainer. He trained, but he had to give it up. He became involved in the management of the Turf Club, and he trained a lot of good horses for the Lacous from Guyana.
Okay.
Lloyd Lacou had a lot of good horses in Trinidad, and Tom O'Brien trained his horses. Good horses. They trained a lot of horses for Barbados too. I'll give you a story. He had a horse from Barbados came here. I think it was owned by Patsy Springer. I remember the name just now. Slade Joseph rode it. And I took over the stable with Tom. But horses hadn't been transferred. And this horse came from Barbados. And he was in the last race going a mile. When we went to saddle him, he was lathered with sweat. So I said, Roy, something wrong here. I don't like how this horse is. I went up to Mr. O'Brien. I said, Tommy, I don't like how this horse looks. This horse looks like they got at him. This horse lathered with sweat. There was in the stall. I don't know. So he said to me, get Dr. Bennett to look at it. So I called Dr. Bennett. I said, Steve, boy, I'm not happy with this horse. What do you think, boy? I believe this horse looked like they got it. He looked at the horse, looked at his eyes. He said, man, I just never do. Go ahead and reach him. When he walked away, he gave one of the groups $20 and he said, go and put it on a horse to win for me. The same horse I didn't want to run. Well, you also want to race easier, paid $10 or $15 to win it. Nothing was wrong with it, you know. I was always very cautious about that kind of thing. So we can afford to take chances to have any kind of blemish, you know. So it was great. I like a lot of support. I got a note here that they want to hear the transition from turf to dirt.
Yes. And not only that, I want to hear from going from Queen's Park to Arima. What was that a good move in your opinion, or was that just not a great move?
Well, I honest with you. I'm very selfish and against it because I live 10 minutes away from the Savannah.
Right.
And I used to go to Savannah every morning and go back every afternoon. I always felt it was very important to be back in the afternoon to check the horses.
Yes.
Because if you woke a horse in the morning and something was wrong with it, and you didn't look at that horse until the following morning, you're 24. But if you looked at it the same day, you see something, you attend to it, call the vet, sweat it, put it in ice, and
do something.
And that's one of the things Emil did for me all the years. He came back every afternoon. I knew I was going to lose that. I every morning and drive out there in the afternoon. Hours drive to look at the horses. I was selfish, but we had no choice. The Savannah was getting too small for racing and carnival. When I first went into the park in Savannah, in the same area, they had 54 horses in the park.
Wow.
When I left the Savannah, in the same area, they had 205 horses.
Wow.
Where we had gardens, they break it down and build a store.
Yeah.
Racing, the Savannah was getting too big, and carnival was getting too big.
Yes.
In the old days, a carnival band had a big band had 200 people in it. When we left Savannah, a carnival band had 8 and 10 people.
Wow.
And very often, when carnival was early, on the last day of races, before the last day of races, the carnival people will bring the iron and steel and put it on the infield. As the horses, before the horses came back, after the last race and the last day of the Christmas meeting,
yes,
they start constructing the north stand, bringing iron on the track, digging holes in the track. Then we also had the sportsmen working the horses over the hill. We used to run on the rugby field and run on the cricket pitch and run on the football field. And we had no weather complaints from the Rugby Association and the footballers, so the horses were matched them. So it really was, we had no choice. And it was best because the beauty about racing in meadows today, like what's important in Spain, you're racing in the middle of town. When we race in Savannah, people walk from St. James, walk from Arima, they walk from Belmont, they walk from Lavendale.
Yes.
In a garrison.
Yes,
walk
correct.
The races to support it.
Yes.
When you go out to Arima, when you go out or you go in the race in the country, people had to get transportation, and a lot of them gave up racing.
Yes.
You know, and then we got involved with the Classico. The Classico, we're a member of the Classico committee, and we took part in the Classico. And the Classico run in Puerto Rico, Panama, Venezuela, on dirt tracks,
yes,
going left hand like America.
Yes.
So we knew first at the beginning, if we're going to centralize, you cannot centralize racing and race every Saturday on a turf track. When we raced on turf tracks, we had 3 tracks. We have a mix for Spain for 5 days. You leave it, you go to Arima for 5 days. While they prepare it for the track. We left Arima, we went to Union Park for 5 days. So we moved from track to track and gave the track time to rejuvenate. And I mean, you couldn't race in Barbados every Saturday all year round. Impossible.
No. Correct.
You could never, a grass track cannot take.
No.
We were centralized racing. We had to build an all-well track, which we did. We have a very good sand track in Arima. You don't care how much rain falls, it makes no difference. It's a good track. All the jockeys from all over the world, Frankie the Tory, all that came through there. They said one of the best good track ever ridden on. Right. We also have a grass track, an infield grass track. We use it infield track, but it was never really prepared for horses to run on it. They left it alone, they leveled the dirt that they took off the sand track and left the grass to grow, and now they plow it and horses run on it. It is not a very good grass track, but it's acceptable. If we had a shower rain, we can't race on it. So tracks, and our facility at Arima, it needs a lot of attention. They don't have the money to do what they should do, but it was the right thing, because we could not continue racing in the Savannah. And then if you want to, where Union Park track is now a stadium, a big sporting stadium.
Wow.
It's a carnival to go over the Savannah. So it was, and now that is not a problem with Arima. Arima is about town. people have moved out of Port of Spain, and they have a lot of residential areas around England and all that. But that is not the problem. Arima, not location. People still complain about the Savannah. It was great days. He us to get rid of the Savannah. Everything grew around the Savannah. So when the 9 furlong shoot, where the Derby started and the Gold Cup started, I
Yes.
get sadder. It was part of my life. But it's progress. You have to do it. If you want to race every Saturday, you got to have a prepared track like a sand track.
But what's the state of
You have
Trinidad
horses
racing
all?
right now? We hear a lot of stories that's not very good, but can you fill me in some more? What's going on now with racing in Trinidad?
Yeah, it's not. The first thing we lost the sight of two things, and the things I've been preaching for years. First thing, the equine athlete nowhere in the world can sustain itself. If the Barbados Top Club did not get revenue in the lottery, they will survive.
Correct.
Gambling is the most competitive industry in the world, right?
Yes.
Every racetrack in America, North America, that became successful and survived because they have other form of revenue.
Correct.
You know, what Brian survived with the lottery, with the
You lost
slot machine.
Casino, yeah.
What Brian was right, the casino, Gulfstream, all the tracks in now casinos.
Yes.
Other forms of revenue. But the equine at no world. Even in England, people talk about England. The levy board in England collect taxes from all the bookmakers, and they sustain the racetracks.
Okay.
You would have race meet in England, the Brighton or those tracks. They have 10 people at the track, but they're subsidized by the levy board. This is what we started in Trinidad. Yeah, our racing depended on money from the levy board, who collected taxes from the bookmakers and put in the racing. The bookmakers, the betting industry got so competitive that the bookmakers are not doing as well. We had 27 bookmakers at one time, and we used to get $20 million a year from them in tax. Now, because racing is competitive, you can sit down at home, watch TV, open an account, and bet and enjoy the racing. You don't have to get in your car and drive for 1 hour to read traffic around. You have the big days, the Derby day and the big days. But the normal day, what they have done is instead of going to races, they have taken racing to the people. They brought racing in your living room. They brought racing on your cell phone. You can pick up your phone, bet, and look at the race on your phone.
Online betting.
A social event, see the horses run, and all that. So this is where we fell down. We depended on the levy board. Their revenue reduced, our revenue reduced. As a matter of fact, at times, the Arima Race Club does better with their internet betting, their off-track betting. You can go to Arima and bet and stream and the same odds. Bet in Woodbine, get the same odds. Now with Jamaica, Jamaica's uplifted their races. We look at Jamaica racing live. That is the mistake that we made. You have to get other forms of revenue. The other big mistake we made is that we have no breeding industry. We used to breed 200 yearlings, 2 years a year. Our first yearling season around 40. But we have been breeding horses on land you can say by the square foot. The big farms here, when they started years ago, the land they were in the country. One of our biggest farms just sold for $80 million. If you have land that's worth $80 million, you're not breeding racehorses. So when I first went in the race authority, I did an exercise, very comprehensive exercise on a national study. There's a national study as New Zealand, England, a lot of countries have Ireland, where you get one lot of land, have a stud. The stud farm is responsible for producing raw material for the industry. You have a board, the mine mills, buy stylists, breed horses, and every year they have no racing colors. You put all the horses in the ring. If the guy $1 for a horse, that horse is raw material for him. So as it is, as we speak now, I think there are only 2 or 3 stud farms in Trinidad. And those stud farms are on land, valuable land that they're going to disappear just now. Where are we going to get raw material from? It takes years. It takes about 5 or 6 years to produce a horse from a brood bear. If you're going to start a stud to bring a the bear, by the time you cover it, before how many survive, get to the track, that's years. And when racing here was doing well and the battle everywhere had money, we had a fantastic breeding program. Our breeders were encouraged. And racing is the most regulated industry. You have to register your horse.
Mm-hmm.
From the time it's covered, you have to register to cover it. See, a covering certificate, my horse was covered by Silent Exit. When the foal is born, you have to register the foal. When it's the yearling, you register the yearling. Do the markings. Then one of the things I did is we brought in chips. You put chips in the horse, you don't have markings again.
Yes, correct.
Every horse
Yes.
has a chip.
Yes.
All that makes it easier.
Very easy.
To start a breeding program, it takes years.
Mm-hmm.
We never capitalized on that.
Mm-hmm.
It went forward. So where are we going to get raw material? I have a yearling sales now. We used to have 130 horses in our yearling sales. The last 2 years, the Stud Farm Association had to try to have a yearling sale again, 20 horses, and they can't have it.
Wow.
So that's a big problem. Barbados is going to suffer from the same problem.
Yes.
How long?
Yes.
But
Williams just gone. He's out.
It's not Caribbean though. It's just not the Caribbean though. It's happening to almost all over the whole world with shorter horses. You know, I mean, Canada is having the same problem, especially right now.
Of course.
So
we had a foolish idea that Jamaica were going to supply us with horses. We used to buy 40 and 50 horses a year from Jamaica. The first yearling sales they had in Jamaica, I attended it, and I bought the highest price horse in the sale. Someone was auction there. And since then we've been buying horses, and our owners been going to Jamaica and buying 10 and 50 and 20 horses. Mm-hmm. Jamaica cannot supply us with horses. They don't even have enough for themselves now.
Yeah, correct.
Breeders in Jamaica, they keep the horses.
Mm-hmm.
So where's Barbados going to get their horses from?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going to get our raw material from? Mm-hmm. And that has to be addressed. And you got to have good raw material to attract people. They want to see Mentone run, and they want to come and Bentom run, and they want to come and see. But I am confident that Barbados is going to take time. A lot of Bajans don't, and we're not in favor of it. But I believe your night racing is going to take off eventually if you continue it. When you think of it, you have a lot of tourists. When tourists come to Barbados, they're not coming to races on that Saturday. Mm-hmm. They're on the beach and sun all the time. What are they doing at night?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have attractive racing for them, it doesn't have to be attractive, it has to be cheap racing. When tourists come to the racetrack, they don't care about Mentone and Bentom and walk soon or all that. They come in the better numbers.
Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think we have to then develop structures to accommodate them. You know, we have to have places
for industry, have restaurants, bars all around the racetrack.
Yes. Places to have dinners and that kind of stuff.
Dancing,
music.
That's what I think. We need to have those kind of stuff.
Correct. It would be like tourists. What you're doing, you're replacing the bars and restaurants that they go to with a racetrack and giving them racing.
Yes.
As an attraction. You can come here, have a meal, drink, bar, music, and horses run. Like you color this off, like your name, they bet on it.
Right.
And that is, to me, it will take time, but that is where you have to go. Now, we can't do that in Trinidad because we don't have the tourists, and our night racing here, I don't think will ever be successful. It would have been in the where people walk at night races, but
correct.
All the time, where people have to drive. I don't know if that's what it would be. But Barbados is unique. People walk, the tourists from all the hotels around walk to the racetrack. And you don't have to have expensive races. You don't have $5,000 races. You don't have to have no derby. You have horses who can win on Saturday. They will come and run on Wednesday night or Friday night. Because they don't
condition races.
bad horses they could beat and they get a little bit. And the people not coming to see champions run. They don't care. They come in for fun on horses.
But
it could happen.
I'm hearing talking about Barbados. Hearing talk about Barbados in this way. Are you a fan of the Garrison? Do you like our racetrack?
Oh yeah, I love the Garrison. I went to race in the Garrison over the years. I used to look forward to it. In my mind, racing in the Garrison is a social event. You go there, you line with the boys, you have a drink in the bar. Since you put in boxes, Mr. Sears will invite some. They go in the boxes, you eat drink and all that.
Yes.
But they produce a lot of good racing, Barbados. A lot of good horses. Barbados had horses that I never thought could run on a sharp track. It won several races in Barbados on a sharp tracks. It's unique, and one of the advantages in Barbados is you're close to the horses.
That's
the
right.
horses running right under the grandstand.
Yes.
Passing under you. And even when in the backstretch, you're close to you.
Yes.
You know, in Trinidad now what it is.
It's far away.
Horses,
Yes.
if you ride binoculars, they don't enjoy horses. now they televise and half the people look at the race on television. A big attraction is the roar, the crowd in Barbados. And let me tell you something, Sean. Those said Caribbean people show. Caribbean race cars are very knowledgeable. Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. You go to Europe, Trinidad. Those fellas know the pedigrees. They know about English racing. They know about American racing. They know all the jockeys in the world. They know everything.
Yes.
Same thing in Barbados.
Yes.
You hear race cars in Barbados arguing about horse. They know everything about every horse. They know the pedigree. They know the father. They know the grandfather. They know who own it. Who jockey could ride. Who can't ride. Who was the best jockey. They know all owning, but they know all about English racing, American racing. They're very knowledgeable.
Yes.
You know,
It's true.
And that is a plus. That's an advantage that we should capitalize on.
Yes.
You know, you don't have stupid people go to races and I like this number and I back this number. Race cars and universities don't do that. They know what they're doing. You know, and when you see a horse that never run on his favorite, they say, oh, this is horse favorite. Punters know galloping well. They know the pedigree. They know the training. They know the jockey. And that's a big advantage. You know,
very much so.
So it's we should. I don't know where we're going. Sad to say, you know, to be honest, you know, Sean, racing has been so good to me, and I always fought and I did my best to leave racing better than I met it. And unfortunately, that is not happening.
Oh dear.
You know, I had great days racing, and I don't know what's going to happen. It will go on. People are racing. They say, oh, since I came into racing, started following racing in 1950, when boy, racing going bad, racing will stop. You know how many times racing stopping in Barbados?
Yeah,
the last
true.
meeting they have no money. They can't, but it will go on. People, it will go on. They will find a way. It wouldn't be as good as it should be.
Yes.
But I have absolute confidence in the integrity of racing. All my years in racing, I must say, we had some hard times with some dishonest racing, but that's normal over it. But by and large, I believe when you put a races in Barbados or Trinidad, and you bet, you get in a fair chance. Now, punters complain. The punter is in his opinion, this is the best horse in the race. In his opinion, it has the right weight. In his opinion, it is the best trainer. In his opinion, it is the best jockey. So that is his judgment. So he's backing that horse. If that horse does not win, he's not blaming himself, saying, boy, it's a misjudgment on my part. He's blaming the trainer, blaming the jockey. Right? The horse didn't do his best. And that is racing. That is what a punter is all about. A punter, he sit down and he judge. In my opinion, this horse should win and come back. He doesn't win. He never say, boy, I'm wrong, you know. It was a bad misjudgment. I really thought the horse didn't have enough weight and the weight, and I thought who's the best jockey. They never said, I say something wrong. The jockey didn't try. The trainer didn't try. And that's normal. That's human behavior. You know, they very seldom blame themselves. But, you know, I think only on one occasion, I don't want to bring it up. I don't like to talk about it. All my years of racing, that I ever lost a race that I thought I could jump down. Races,
but Mr. Hadeed,
and I didn't win. And I won a lot of races.
Most gamblers that lose always find fault. 90% of gamblers, when they lose, they have to find fault to something, right? 90% of them.
They never say it's my fault.
No. It's not their bad handicapping. It's not their bad training job or a bad ride by the jockey. You know what I mean? That's most of the time is the bad ride by the jockey. So, and it's still going on in horse racing today. Poor jockeys just take all the grind from it. You rode a bad race. You know?
Absolutely.
But you're an honest man.
A punter will never say, this is my fault. I shouldn't have backed this horse. If you look at the horse, it had no chance, this, that. Put the money on it, you have to blame him.
What do you think? What do you think that the punters would say? What do you think the punters would say about a horse like Frisky Wharf? Are they gonna find an excuse of the jockey or the trainer? I say let's talk about a horse like Frisky Wharf. What you think the punters would say about a horse like that? Is it always the jockey rides a good race or the trainer train a good horse?
They blame the jockey. They always blame the jockey. You know, I never blame a jockey. My jockeys, a lot of them would come in, especially Charlie, Emil, the trainer. I made a bad mistake. I should have gone on the outside. I went inside. I used to say, fellas, that race finished.
Yeah.
You can't rerun a race.
Correct.
If a jockey makes a mistake in a race, that race is over.
Correct.
So you know that. You have
Correct.
Correct.
No, but
when I train a horse, I have almost. Sorry.
No.
You have days and hours. Sorry.
No. I was just saying, using a horse like Frisky Wharf. You got a good horse like Frisky Wharf. What do you think the punters would say about a horse like that if he loses a race?
They would never blame the horse. They blame the jockey. They blame the trainer. They never blame the horse. They never blame themselves and say, look, it was a misjudgment on my part. I should not have realized. I should have realized that he had too much weight and the race was not in his favor. They never blame themselves. That's human nature. You have to put that race in, you know. And jockey make takes. And sorry, Leroy.
No, I got the source. I want you to show the source here. So I was wondering if the pundits would have any excuses when to see a horse like this run, Frisky Wharf. So I want to show Brent to show this race with this horse. Brent, could you show us this race, please?
Right, Mr. Hadid, I'll bring up this wonderful memory of yours, Frisky Wharf in the Barbados Gold Cup.
Between Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad. In 1986, equine flu prevented any Trinidadian participation, but Jamaican entries kept the Caribbean interest and flavor alive. In those 5 years, there have been 2 winners each from Barbados and Trinidad and 1 from Martinique. In 1985, Trinidad reclaimed the cup when the Joe Hadeed trained Frisky Wharf won in great fashion.
Frisky Wharf, Turnberry Isle towards his outside, behind Turnberry Island, going up as well as Salangang. Chantilly Girl is there, Splendid Peak, and the last one at the stage is Tinker's Image. Past the stand for the first time, and it's Bold Mover by 2, settling down in front. From Ubique, 3 lengths before we come to the Pinto de Puna. Amelia Ticket tucked in on the inside, Chase Lady is there. Frisky Wharf comes next. Turnberry Isle being ridden on the outside of Turnberry Island, moving up nicely is Aliam. Also going up is Salangan. On the inside is Tinker's Image. Splendid Pick second to last, and the last one at this stage is Tinker's Image. Up towards the 4 furlong pole, they're going is Bold Mover by 2. In second spot, still is Ubique. 3 or 4 lengths before we come to Amelia Secret and the Pinto de Puna going together. And the race is really hot, and they go towards the 3 furlong pole. It's Bold Mover in front by 2 from Ubique. Belial Secret moving sweetly on the outside. The Pinto de Puna comes next. Behind the Pinto de Puna and moving up nicely is Frisky Wharf also. Then comes Turnberry Isle. Aliyah making a run. And the last one behind these comes Splendid Peak and Shadley Girl, the last one. Back to the mile pole, and it's still Bone Mover and on the outside, Belial Secret going right up to join him. Bone Mover and Belial Secret. Right on the outside is Frisky Wharf. The Pinto de Puna drifting right under pressure. To the middle comes Frisky Wharf to pick it up. Frisky Wharf in front. He's going to win it. Frisky Wharf by one. He's going to win. Belial Secret trying desperately. Here comes Ubique with a run on the outside. Frisky Wharf wins it now from Ubique. In third spot is Belial Secret. Then comes Born River. The Pinto de Puna. On the inside was Turnberry Isle. And the last one just going past Alayam.
Was the whole of Barbados at the races that there or what?
Those were the days of horse racing.
Emil, John,
Yeah.
Emil was brilliant.
Yes.
Emil was brilliant. Frisky Wharf didn't have the speed. Emil took his time, let him get going. He kept him in a nice position. He kept him in the right place.
Yes.
And brought him to challenge bit by bit. He didn't ride him off his leg balance.
Yeah.
He kept him perfectly balanced on the sharp track. And he really produced him when he was steady in the straight. He was brilliant, you know. And Emil rides that track well too, you know. He rides Barbados very well. With a lot of World Cup winners there.
But winning the Gold Cup for you, how big was that for you, especially back in those days?
It was for me, and actually winning any race, I am so happy for the owners when winning the red stripe in Barbados in Jamaica was very reason. They had a horse there called Zone. He was the champion horse in Jamaica. Trained by Wayne Acosta. He was unbeatable. So when she was supposed to come to Trinidad to run in a race we had, she didn't come. So we went. Mr. Putin was a sportsman, and after one champion stakes, he said, "Joe, let's go to Jamaica." I said, "Mr. Putin, for sure." He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." And we went. Everything well laid off. The horse traveled well looked after. Brian rode him, and he beat Warzone. And after the race, the grooms are given one of the jokes, and our groom said to the Jamaican groom, he says, "I was waiting for you in Trinidad, and you didn't come, so I come home here for you now." we beat Warzone. That was very pleasing. He was a good groom. He was a good race. I mean, entries is great. I won a lot of good races. I won a lot of derbies, and actually one year, I think it was 1979, we won every 3-year-old classic in Trinidad and Tobago. We won all the 2-year-old classics, we won all the 3-year-old classics, we won the Tobago Derby. You know, with 3 horses, El Camino, Reflection, and a Martinique horse called Bitaco. In Tobago, they raced left-handed, and he was a Martinique horse.
Yes.
He ran in Martinique to run on a sharp track left-handed. So he was in Tobago, and he wanted to put Derby in.
Reflection was a lovely horse too.
A lot of good horses. Yes, and really good to me, you know, and I had a great relationship with all the Bajans, and all my great jockeys were Bajans. And I had trained for a lot of Bajans, and they were recent. Barbados racing is unique and it's good, and you have real die-hard racecourses in Barbados over the years. And Jamaica has always been ahead of us, Sean. And you know, at one time, Jamaican horses couldn't run in our classics. They were so too good.
Yes, correct.
Right, going back to the days of Bomboma and Commando Jamaican horses, they were always ahead of us.
Yes.
You know, that's why when we decided to buy horses from Jamaica, and they decided to win all our races locally. You know, they didn't win as much in Barbados on the track. And you know, we're going back to talk about that. Chris Hammond.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hammond was a real lover of Caribbean racing.
Correct.
Chris Hammond, his father and grandfather were in racing.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came to Trinidad, he worked for us, and he came here. A lot of people don't remember. Chris tried his best to organize Caribbean racing between Jamaica, Martinique, Barbados, and Trinidad.
That's right.
He formed a company called Racing. Family of young horses, yearlings.
Mm-hmm.
To build up fun like the Breeders' Cup.
Yes.
We race from country to country. He played out the races. As a matter of fact, he actually started to collect some.
Mm-hmm.
The first nominations, owners paid.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a race in Barbados, a race in Jamaica, a race in Martinique, a race in Trinidad for big money.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, when we worked it out, the cost of transportation of the horses was
too much.
exorbitant. We couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
You were paying more to travel your horse than the first prize.
First. Mm-hmm.
So that is why it didn't work. I was a believer in Caribbean racing. We really were uniting the Martinique, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. We worked for all. He worked for Trinidad, he worked for Jamaica, he worked organized races in Barbados, and it's very sad that
Mm-hmm.
what he wanted to do didn't really come to part, because it started. It's there. The company is there. Westwood Truck. It's just now the transportation is different. But in the old days, the Bajans used to bring MER born to bring the horses to racing. They're not on a scooter.
Yes.
We used to ship horses to Barbados to race by boat.
Do you think we should go back to that then?
Yes.
I mean, it might be cheaper.
If you could get it organized. Now, Barbados, they were at a disadvantage because Jamaica is on sand, going left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Martinique built a track, they race on sand like us left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Barbados raced turf going right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So they naturally would have been fed with another advantage. But it was still involved. The Bajan owners still nominated and were still part of the truck, although it was clear that they would be at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we would be at a disadvantage if we come to race in Barbados. So it kind of paid off, When the horses that ran in Jamaica and Trinidad and do tracks left-handed, we had to go for the big race in Barbados. We were running right-hand on grass.
Mm-hmm.
But they had more races in Jamaica and Trinidad than they would have had in Barbados. And that might have been a disadvantage. But the Bajans didn't really take that on. They were prepared, they nominated, and it's just transportation killed it. Chris Hammond was the man behind that. He was a lover of Caribbean racing.
One question I have to ask you before. This guy won the Derby on Saturday, Sonny Leon. Did he ride in Trinidad? Is there any truth to that rumor?
He rode 9 races in Trinidad. He ran, I think, he was second and third ones. We had an influx of Venezuelans here coming to ride.
Yes.
A lot of them rode and moved out of the States. He was one.
Okay.
People called Galvez, the champion jockey for a lot. He rides in somewhere in America. A lot of them moved there. A lot stayed. Some stayed. But he stayed long enough. They started to ride there. They want to get out of Venezuela. They rode there. And this is kind of stepping block. They get into States. And he rode here. He rode 9 races. Yeah. But he did ride in Trinidad.
How long ago was that?
In the 90s, it have to be somewhere in the 94, 95. I know.
No.
A lot of people have it there. I don't remember the date. Yeah.
Because he's 20. I noticed that he's only 32. So it will have to be a little.
Sean, I have it on my phone. I will send it for you.
Okay.
The year,
no problem. Thanks.
Exact year, and how many races he rode.
Yes. Correct.
I will send it for you.
We'll share that with our visitors.
And let me tell you, Barbados, pretty proud. Barbados produced Sir Michael Stout, who was my good friend.
Yes. Yes.
Safi Joseph.
Yes.
Um,
Correct. Patrick Husbands. Don't forget Patrick Husbands.
They have put Barbados racing on the map.
Yes.
Patrick Husbands.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he had a nickname in travel. We used to call him Wifey. His name was Husband, so we used to call him Wifey. Great boy, good rider. Now, right?
I like that one, Leroy.
Wifey.
Wifey tomorrow.
Oh Lord. People can talk about that tomorrow.
Sean, the same fellow you asked me about Ellis.
Yes.
Ellis gave him that name. But when he rode a lot for Bobo and he's friendly with Ellis.
Yes.
Yeah. And Ellis gave him the nickname Wifey, and we know it was Wifey because his name is husband. We call him Wifey. Good boy.
That's a good one.
I mean, what Safi Joseph has done, what Sir Michael Stout has done. I know Michael got interested in racing because Brett, he lived near the garrison. His father was in the police force. He was the commissioner of police, Major Stout.
Yes. Yes.
And Michael used to come to Trinidad a lot. He used to come and spend a lot of time with Bobby Hardridge, and he was a recent commentator. And when Michael, you all must know, when you know Michael's story, when Michael went to England, he went to work for the BBC. But his love for racing, and he knew racing, he was intelligent. And then he got a job with Pat Rohan as his assistant, and never looked back. Look where he is today. Same thing with Safi. He went learned the straight and black side off. So David Seals was one of his first owners in Barbados. He had horses for Sir David. He helped him, and he never looked back. Barbados should be proud of that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I'm really proud to see Mr. David Seals giving him one of his first horses or two in Florida.
Yes.
That was great support.
Yes.
When he started off.
And now he has.
So David loved racing.
Yes.
So David will help anybody in racing. He always helped he helped me, gave me horses, he helped jockeys, and he helped love racing, and he helped do anything for racing, And he helped all the people, in racing. He will do anything for the young race cars and he's man of the highest integrity and integrity in racing.
When local knowledge and those type of horses like Concord Hero and those horses, they stayed with you, right?
Yes. Well, local knowledge one is Stewart's Cup. Ronald Burke trained them when he came.
Ronald Burke, okay.
And then after Ronald went back, Ronald Burke trained him.
Oh, he trained them with you.
But he won the Stewart's Cup here. And when Benton came here, Ronald came and trained him.
Yes.
But all other David horses, I looked after. I trained all David horses. We had a great relationship. We had plenty of winners, and I trained horses for Jeffrey Cave.
Yes.
Jeffrey Cave, Richard Atkinson,
yes.
John B. Simpson.
Yes.
We had a lot of horses. They just supported me a lot. They were good racing people, and it was a pleasure to work with them. I had a lot of great Bajan grooms.
Do you remember? Do you remember Tiger?
Who?
Tiger. They used to call him Tiger. Erskine
Ford.
Erskine Ford.
Who he worked for? His nickname was what?
We used to call his nickname was Tiger, but
I don't.
But Erskine Ford was his.
I don't know who he worked for.
All I know when
the name is familiar.
Yes, I remember as a youngster coming out there and used to see all these guys hanging out just in front of, just a little further up from the Queen's Park Hotel. And I remember Hamdog was one of them, and they said, "Man, we Bajans,
Yes.
All I had Trinidadian accents at the time, what I mean? Every one of them." And I remember, but Tiger might not work for you then.
Yeah, well, the Bajan grooms. He may have a lot of that work for me, but the Bajan grooms live in the Lime.
Picker, Picker for sure.
They never went. Of course, Picker worked for me for a long time too. Picker was a big stout fella. The fella who looked after Frisky Wharf, I don't know if he's still around. for me, he looked
McNabb.
at Frisky Wharf.
You know what? McNabb was
You know?
around up to a couple years ago, but then I
Yeah.
used to start giving him a little trouble. And I haven't seen him since, though, since he had the operation for his eyes. I got to ask and see how he's doing. But he was working up to a
Yeah.
couple years ago. McNabb, man, yeah.
Yeah, and they were good grooms, real good. Racing is
Yes.
a real fantastic sport, you know. And if I had to live my life over, I'll do it over again, you know.
Mm.
And train for the same people and have the same jockeys and the same staff, and you know,
You won't change a
already
thing.
was, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I
It's
can
very
tell you.
admirable of you, Mr. Hadeed, for the way you ran your
It's good,
show.
right, because well,
It was,
let me tell you, there are a lot of good horsemen around, but they're not managers. Running a race is stable. You got to be a manager.
Mhm,
You have to
mhm.
look after the grooms, make sure,
yeah.
and all that.
Mhm.
You have to do it. They must be comfortable.
Leadership, right? You have that leadership.
Yeah, but it's, you know, a lot of people don't realize too, right? In 24 hours, how many hours does a horse stay out of the stable?
Mhm.
In 24 hours, a horse is no horse is out of the stable for more than an hour if so long.
Mhm. Correct.
Right? The groom comes there, clean him up, make sure he's all right, bring him out, book him, bathe him, put him back, and he's in that stall. They might bring him out in the afternoon for a walk. A horse spends 22 or 23 hours a day in the stall.
Mm.
The groom is responsible for making that horse happy, making him happy in the stall. Make sure he has everything he needs. He has shaving, he got grass, he has water. You know, he has to be in a happy environment. And because
So
he's
it
there
actually worked out in favor of the horses that
So-
the Bajan grooms of yours actually lived in the savannah right there. So living with the horses, they're there almost 24 hours a day.
That's
They
right.
gave much more attention to the horses, and they obviously thrived on that.
Absolutely. And the same thing, that's why I had so many Bajans and Jamaican grooms. Because they had nowhere to live there, and they were there 24/7.
Right.
If something happened to a horse at night, they're there.
Mhm.
You know, all the time, and they were there to water the horses before they went there late at night, and the other grooms would look after the horse and leave and go home and come back the following morning.
Mhm.
And that was a big plus, you know, having there all the time. And they were helpful. If a horse in the stables was not doing well, they would go and look after it. They pick up the bucket, give it water, and you know, that's a big part of it. You know, you have to look after it, make sure they're happy. And
But Mr. Hadeed, before we go, one thing I have to ask you: what was your best horse that you think you've had in your care,
Or one of the best.
or one of the
so
best?
you ask a question.
I know the
I
tough
tell you,
question, but I want to hear the
right here in
answer.
you see this room I'm in now? This is
Yes.
my racing room. The history of racing in Trinidad, Barbados, and the world is right here in this room. This
Right.
is my domain. I'm there. There's a picture on the wall here I am looking at, painted by Lisa Ramsamy. She was a
Oh,
brilliant
there. Yes.
painter of horses.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
And Miss Ramsami's wife.
And
Yes.
she painted
You know her.
her 11 horses I have on a painting here. Unfortunately, you can't see them.
Yes.
And she picked out those were the 11 best horses I ever trained. And if anybody asks you which one was the best, everyone was different. You can't
Yeah.
compare like every sport. And that's
Yes.
what makes racing so lovely. Racing is about memoirs. Racing is about what happened already.
Yes.
You try to predict what's going to happen next Saturday. The punters try to do that. And half the time they're wrong. But we can sit here and talk about facts. There's something that actually happened. It took place in the Derby. It took place in the Gold Cup. It took place. This horse broke down. This jockey didn't those facts. To try and compare horses. Now, when I talk to the old timers, there's a horse in Trinidad in the old days called Jetsam.
Yes.
And when you talk about the old timers, it was the best horse ever bred in the West Indies. I don't think it ever lost a race. And I had a great sprinter called Set Royal that was out of a mare that George were well bought from Sir John Chandler in Barbados, a Bajan female line, English horse he had.
Yeah.
I thought I was the best sprinter ever raced in Trinidad. He used to run with 136 pounds and breast canter. He ran 69 already.
Wow.
So when the old timers me that Jetsam would have beaten him in a 6 furlong race, I say, oh, come on, people. You're real old timers. I can't imagine a horse, a Creole, beating Seth Royal going 6 furlongs. You know, Charlie Kachela, Charlie rode him a lot. Dropping the canter, you know. And he beat, we had good English sprinters then. We had a good English sprinter called Duvig, and all those, he beat all those English sprinters. But he was a sprinter. That convinced me that any horse from the old days, when they tell me about Commando and Bomber, the old Jamaican horses, how good they are, they talk about, it's difficult to convince me that the horses would have beaten the horses I trained. We had great horses. Yeah, we trained a horse called Buzz. I think he ran 4th or 5th in the Classico. You know, Creole. I don't know. You know, I can't imagine any horse beating the Hadid. You know, 8 furlong race. So if you come and tell me that one in the old days, they would have beat him. And that's what race is about, for me to tell you.
What about Mentone? I mean, everybody talks about Mentone, horse of the century. I mean,
but nobody, I saw Mentone run.
Yes.
And nobody could ever argue that Mentone is not the best racehorse that ever came to the West Indies.
Okay.
Barbados and Trinidad. Mentone was by far, nobody would argue. Nobody ever see them run would argue that. He would win. Byron Clark, not the best jockey in the world, but Byron would have Mentone like that, and he would descanter. Nobody could get close to him. He, to me, is the best horse I ever saw running. I don't think I ever trained a horse that could come close to him.
Wow.
Cole had some horses. Cole had a good filly called Phil Sabo. Yes. And then there was a good horse from Barbados, his own top lady. Edmund rode it. We thought they were great horses, and they tried to beat Mentone. And Byron Clark used to look at them and laugh. Great horse. And he was a freak. His sister came to Trinidad. They paid all this, so she was never good. He was bought by the PBA, bought him for MAR Bond.
Yes.
MAR Bond owned a lot of good English horses, and that's outstanding. Nobody would argue that. No race score had ever seen him run. Like if I try to argue with my son, who goes racing every Saturday in the ball, Roger, and tell him, try to convince him how good Mentone was, he tell me I'm talking nonsense. You know, but he was by far. We had great Creoles, you know, and they had great Creoles from Barbados that was bred and to come in with all our races. The Asian horses used to come here for our Christmas dinner. Arrive a week before race, win all the races. Breeders, Derby, everything. Jump on a boat next the week after and go back to Barbados. That was racing.
Good old days.
We used to send horses by boat. The great days. And the Bajans came here.
Yes.
The Queen's Park was out next to Savannah. That was every year by Bajans. Fred Bethel. Those great Bajans, you know.
I think that's the only thing. Only thing this generation is missing is the rivalry that we had back in the day between Trinidad and Jamaica. I mean, it just
even Martinique, man.
Yeah, but everything is just flat. No, just flat line. You don't have anything no more. You know, it's just you don't even see Trinidad and jockeys come out here to Barbados anymore once in a while. Our guys don't even go to Trinidad anymore. You know.
Yeah. Well, I sure want to believe we had the horses, the rivalry, we had the interest, but the Bajans coming in Trinidad, it was also a bit of a social event. We used to have parties before races and everybody talking and arguing. And all when they came, the race was a big social event. And the same thing when we went to Barbados, it was a social event, you know. And we have lost that.
Yes.
Like everything else, every other sport in the world now is just pure business. And when you look at the prize money and what it costs to keep horses today, I remember when I first started training, we used to charge $190 or $200 a month to keep a horse. Now we're talking about $6,000. And a lot of the prize money has not gone up in proportion. That's a big thing too, you know. And you really have to love the game to be involved in it, and you do it for sport. You can afford it.
Well, Mr. Hadid, one of the things
I have had
all of our listeners really want is for you to do another print run of that book. You've got me so interested in that book now more than ever before, and all of our listeners are asking for opportunities to get and read your book. So please do let us know if you're going to have it out. And
I will do that.
Let all of our listeners know.
Yeah, I had a lot in Barbados, and Rodney Jones had to send them back if I need them here. But I'm saying there's a lot around in Barbados because when I launched the book there, we distributed a lot of copies. You know, but I will promise you, I am in the process of getting more copies printed now, and I will certainly let you have it. It's something to read. It's a chapter about every owner I have written for and every jockey that written races, and you know, and
if there was a way of us selling it online for you, like on Amazon or one of those shows where we can sell digital copies, maybe we're going to have to speak to your son and figure out how we can get it online for you so people can download it and listen to it, or at least read it offline, because this is the day of technology, so
it's great
you don't need to print it.
They should have more books. They should have more books I got about Brazilian races. Right? This book is about racing, my life race. And I have here in my library every single book written by the autobiography of every single jockey that ever wrote a book. I have all them, going back to Edgar Britt. I have 3 copies of Lester Piggott's books and Scooby Bridges' book and all those books. So Richard's book, you read also Gordon. And he used to come to Barbados and stay with Scooby, and
that's right.
He was an interesting man. And when I went to England, I used to go to England and spend the Derby week with Scooby, and so Gordon would come and stay there. And he always wanted to go walk after dinner, and I used to walk with him around Epsom. And he gave me his life stories you hear, the tricks, the television. That should be documented. When technology today, it took me a long time to write my book. Somebody wrote a book. If somebody writes a book about their life and racing, it wouldn't take long with technology, the computers that do everything for you. My book was written by hand. It took years to do it, you know. It took a long time, but I got all the support from Derek Hoosier, the researcher throughout the year, Derek Hoosier, and Mother from the Express wrote the book, and I got a lot of help. But today, with technology, you can write a book of your life in no time.
Well, on this show, Journeys, the talk show with Sean Hall and Leroy Trotman, we want to promote your book and horse racing in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Barbados, Martinique, Jamaica. We want to promote horse racing to the world. So hopefully we'll get other horsemen from around the world in America and UK, even down in Australia. Let's check out this book about Joseph Hadeed, trainer, 4-time, was it? Champion trainer in Trinidad?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we can get it started for you and help popularize it, because a lot of your experiences are similar to horsemen around the world, and you've been, as many people on our show said, you are the master.
Well, all I can say is, Mr. Hadeed, I really thank you, though, for coming on the show. It was really a pleasure, an honor. It's better than I thought it would be because you have so much. You taught us a lot tonight. The knowledge is. I'm so happy to see you still have all that knowledge there, and we've spoken to you to gain some of it. A lot of our fans who are really big Trinidadian horse racing fans really love you still. Are so happy with everything you've told us, man. I really appreciate it. Really, really do.
We are so happy to be able to document it
Well,
and
Sean,
record it.
I want to say, yes, I want to say, Sean, that what I know about racing, other people taught me.
Yes.
I wasn't born with that. I learned from people, racing people, and that's how you learn. You learn from talking to people. I used to go to Kentucky every year. They had a seminar there called iTech, where trainers from all over the world would get together and exchange ideas and why more horses were breaking down in America than in England and all that sort of thing. And I remember sitting a long time ago next to Woody Stevens and talking, and that's how you learn. You got to talk, you got to listen. And as Cole said, we used to laugh because I had a problem with horse. I would call Cole. I said, Cole, what can the source for? So what do you think? And he said, why you don't try this? Why you don't try that? The same thing with him. We exchanged ideas.
Yes.
We were not rivals. We were good friends.
But
and I learned a lot from him.
You just touched a nerve there with me where you said about horses breaking down and stuff. We having a problem here in Barbados right now where the top class horses are totally destroyed. They're no top. All of them are gone. What did you used to do to help protect your horses from breaking down and that kind of stuff?
Sean, I hear you, and you talk how you protect. You have to understand one thing. If horses that can run fast will break down quicker than horses that can't run fast. The good horses break down quicker than the bad horses. If you could run fast, you have more strain in your legs, and you're using more legs, and you will break down quicker. A horse that can't run fast, he will stay down in the bottom class and run till he's 12 years old and never be late because he can't run fast.
He never put strain on his legs.
Running fast. All the horses I had, good horses, all of them are the ones you had the most problems with. And then what are you going to do to protect? It happens all over the world. Horses break down. I'll tell you that what came out of one of the seminars that I went to, and I don't know if you remember a trainer in England called Guy Howard. He trained a horse that won the Arc. I remember the name of the horse just now. I remember his name just now. Pat Hadid rode him. He was owned by Sheik, by Khalil Abdullah. Dancing Brave.
Oh, Dancing Brave. Yes,
Guy Howard. And this topic was one of the main topics of one of these seminars. And every trainer from all over the world, we had trainers in Australia, saying. And Guy Howard came up and said, in his opinion, the reason why horses don't become as often in England as in America, because we have 100 different tracks. Every track is different. Some tracks you go left-handed. Some tracks you go left-handed, you go right-handed. Some tracks are straight. So, based on conformation of your horse, you can pick the track with your horse's conformation. And the easiest on his legs. He said, in America, you have one track.
Yes.
In Trinidad, no, we have one track. In Jamaica, we have one track. Right? Fat, soft, tall, thin, with or draw, you have one track and one runner. Right? In the Savannah, we had a bit of a difference because we had sand track to exercise the horses on. Then we moved our horses over the hill, all between the playing fields and all that. That was a little different.
Yeah.
And he drew the attention to people. In England, I can select a track to suit the conformation of my horse. That is why you saw horses for courses.
Yes.
Horses for courses in England. You don't hear horses for courses in America.
No.
You hear horses for courses in England. One horse, 24 races a month, he goes to another track, he can't place.
Yeah.
In America, every track is the same. And that was one of the theories put forward by Guy and those. With technology, a trainer doesn't have to detect lameness in a horse. The technology, the vets do it. You're not happy with a horse. You go to the event, the X-ray, the scan it, this, that. Early on, we had no X-rays. You had to guess what is wrong with the horse. You know, and we had different. There's a difference. And after they with technology and they have the different medications and equipment, scooping. We never scooped a horse in the old days. When a horse bled, it bled. Now they can scoop a horse and tell you what is going on in the horse's lungs.
Yes.
But very often you hear a trainer say that I had my horse scooped. I was not happy with what we found. It's not running. They find a mucus. They don't run. The days before scooping, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on in horses' knees and their legs. We didn't know anything about chip bones and removing fractured sessions. You're lame and we send you on the farm and rest you until you can song and train you again. That technology. Big advantage.
That might work for the benefit though. The horseman from yesteryear was so much better.
More than anti-medication. I am paranoid, and I have had arguments and clashes with the trainers in Trinidad over the years about medication. I am from the old school, anti-medication. I never gave my horses any medication. I have had clashes with the chemists, and before, we had a clash with the chemist with Frisky Wharf in the Cockspur, and when they didn't wait around to take his urine, and they took his saliva, and the chemist said that they can't test his saliva, but it looked like if he had educated survival, and they had no right to deem the horse was positive, because when I came to the inquiry, the turf club showed me a letter. The chemist said that we cannot deem this sample positive because we have no urine. Now, the chemists are on top of you. They can detect. You think of it, they can detect foreign substances, regular substance horses that have been administered 2 or 3 months before. So it's more sophisticated, but I believe, I'm happy to say, they're coming around more and more. The American track, doing 6 a lot. There are over 2,000 or 3,000 horses running in the world every day without A6. They don't use A6 in England. They don't use A6 in France. They don't use A6 in South America, in South Africa. They don't use it. And the Americans are now coming around, and they are starting more and more banning A6. I've always been. I've got a lot of bad arguments and clashes with people who support medications, but they'll come around, and the whole industry is vigilant. It's so much more commercialized, and people spending so much more money, and they do anything to look after the welfare of the horse. But I see the horse should run on its merit. And if he has a problem, an ailment, it should not be in a race. It's not fair to the horse or the public.
Correct. One of our visitors are asking, who do you think is the best jockey that ever rode for you? Is that ever possible to answer?
That's a great question.
Or who do you like the best?
I had one of the most brilliant was Charlie Jones. Did not have the best seat. He was not like Venice or Emil that sat over their horses and they were pretty on a horse, or even Hugh. Charlie had his horse in the right place at the right time, and he produced his horse to win at the right time. He was brilliant. He a lot of people didn't like him. His style was awkward. His ass was up in the air, but he was well balanced. He kept it well balanced. He don't come out of stride. He had contact with his mouth all the time. You never see Charlie throwing the rein at a horse, and he never overbeat the horse. He used the weapons to encourage the horse. But to me, Charlie was a great horseman, and he was brilliant. Emil was good. Emil worked at it. Few blades would have been as good as any if he had lost it, because he also was brilliant. But if I had to tell you who's the best jockey ever rode for me, I would say Charlie Joe, without a doubt. He was great. I had great jockeys. Venice rode for me a lot. He was brilliant. A lot of them, but Charlie was special. He was a natural. Charlie never lived like a jockey. Charlie never sweat. He would come the night before the race and say, "All right, who are riding tomorrow? Who's the weight? How much the weight have to catch?" He said, "Oh Christ, all right, I'm gonna go in the car tomorrow morning. I'll lose 2 pounds, I'll lose 3 pounds." You know.
But listen,
he didn't live all in one. Brilliant.
I have somebody asking me.
We should be proud of him.
Yeah, we are very proud of him. I mean, the whole family. Slade Jones, now Slade is there. We're very proud. But what people are asking me now is if you could say some words about Roy Gordon as your assistant or man that used to run your stable for so many years. Do you have any good memories that you could share
Roy
with us?
Roy started. Oh yes. If you have 2 or 3 days. Roy, when I started the stable,
I'm gonna go get my pillow
when
then.
I started the stable. Now Roy worked for Colt Durant, and the best groom I ever had, Trinidad grooms, came from Colt Durant.
Right.
There was a boy, I think he was Roy Jones. They tell me he just passed recently. Colt had good grooms. Roy looked after my brother. I am not from a racing family. My family got involved in racing after me. When I was racing, then my brothers got involved. I had my horses and all that. And my brother and Peter George owned 5 horses. The Colt was good horses. Anyway, Roy looked after those horses when they were cool. And when this came, Roy, they asked Roy to come with the horse. And Roy left Colt and came to start the stable.
Okay.
And Roy started with me.
So
when I stopped training, he stopped working and he died 2 weeks ago. Roy was a brilliant horseman. Roy, I didn't have to worry about breaking into your holes. Roy would take you to your holes and call the jockeys, tell them what to do, how to sit, walk them. We never had, as I said, all my years of training, only on one occasion I ever had a horse not going to boxes and I refused to go in the box at the start. Roy had those horses trained. He was a great horseman. Going in, he started well behaved. He would handle them. He trained the grooms. All the good grooms I had, Roy. But Roy would not have been a successful trainer because he's not a good manager. You have to manage your money. Roy could have money, made a lot of money. You can manage his money. So he was not a good manager, but a brilliant horse. Having said that, the grooms respected him. Because when Roy told a groom to do something, he knew. Roy knew the saying that was the thing to do. And that's why our horses were the best out most of the time and best behaved most of the time. And Roy was responsible for that. He got on, and I never. He always said he employed the grooms, and I used to fire them. And then he employed the satisfied. So I met with him. I tell him, he said I used to fire the grooms through him. He was responsible. The grooms knew that, and he knew that. I never quarreled with a groom yet. I never went to a groom and said, "What the hell you doing? You did wrong." I go to Roy. Say, "Roy, you see Jonesy down there, monkey. I'm not happy with how that horse is looking. I'm not happy." And Roy would go and take a lag and correct it, not me. He was very good at that. We got on well. My owner respected him. He was very polite. A lot of my stables, I was very strong on, but people I trained for, that you couldn't use bad language in my stable. I never used bad language in my group. And so I knew that. And
You're
I
probably
never
the only barn in the world.
I would my grooms, they could use bad language among themselves, not in front of me, not in front of Roy. My owners are always there. If I had an owner, let's say like Sir David came to see, I'm training for him, came to look at his horses, and we walk around the horses. They had to be well dressed. They couldn't be in a vest and a short pants or jockey shorts. How would it look if Sir David heard grooms, custom brother, using bad language in a jockey shorts and all that? No, those standards that I was very particular about, and they wouldn't do that. They don't get me wrong here. They use bad language, but not when I'm wrong. When I'm not there, they cuss on her learn. Use all kind of bad. That's normal. But they knew that we had to set high standards because they train.
I love that though. I love that old school high standard that you set, Mr. Hadeed. Congratulations on achieving that success.
Well, I don't know if a lot of trainers to me complain that it's not easy to maintain those standards now because you can't get the grooms. Grooms. You know, in my day, grooms were lining up to get a job with me.
Yeah.
But they're going to look after good horses.
Yes.
Horses are going to do their best. They're going to be every week to get a salary. If they need it, I used to take a personal interest in them. If they had problems at home, I used to say, well, if you have problems at home, like financial problems, when you come to work, you cannot be in that frame of mind. It reflects on the horses. If you vexed in a bad mood, come and talk to me, and I help them as much as I can. I help them as much as I can. There's certain things that naturally without my control, and you can't do anything about it, but they got to be in a good frame of mind when they come around the horses. My owners, I was training for Silas Clark. He was the president of the country. When he came very often to look at the horses, he couldn't come and you had some standard, you know.
Yes.
I learned Brett a lot of that. I used to go to England every year, and I would spend a week with Scobie. I would go up, see Sir Michael. I would go to and Paul Cool, and I would learn more in that week in England than months in the paddock. The standards they set, they spoke to the groups. Now, a lot of that has deteriorated in England. A lot of the trainers still have the ability to maintain those standards, and like Sir Michael wouldn't put up with nonsense like that. But the big trainer, a lot of the sport can't get up the standards to help. They should be. You know, in my day, I was fortunate. They always had. I had no trouble getting grooms. But I looked after them, and, you know, make sure they behave. And they so after a race, they go and drink and get drunk and all that. But they couldn't come around the horses. Bad language.
Well, Mr. Hadeed, we've been talking now for over 3.5 hours, and I know I never thought that we will get those much hours out of you, but I'm grateful, and I don't want to I don't want to kill the old horse. I don't want to write this stuff in this old horse. I think it's time we should call the race.
Talking racing can't kill me. I love to talk racing.
We'll have to have you back on another show.
And Brent, it's so good to see you.
Same here, Mr. Hadeed.
And thanks for reminding me about it. I am welcome. I will be happy anytime at all. I will talk racing with you all are knowledgeable racing people. You're not ignorant, but you know racing. So it's interesting talking to you. And Brent, thanks for reminding me of the race you won for me.
Yes. Shaw was shocked. He didn't know I won a race for you, so I had to go deep in my portfolio.
Listen, I couldn't even get a ride for this guy. I couldn't get a ride. So
I will tell you one of the many pleasures I had in life in racing is when Jonathan Jones came to Trinidad to ride for me. And my son Roger, my son's the only one really in the race. I had a horse running his name, and Jonathan rode one on that horse. My best friend, his son, rode a horse for my son, and that gave me a lot of pleasure.
Wow.
It's something I cherish, you know. And he and John O friendly up to date. But
That's
I'll
great
give
to
you a
hear.
story about John O next.
Yes,
Next
I
time you
wanna
see
hear
John O,
this.
remind him of this. He came to Trinidad, and he was staying with his aunt, and he said he wasn't. I don't think he was riding.
Auntie
He wasn't riding then,
Frances.
but he was.
Auntie Frances.
He came to see. Yes, he came to see me, to visit me. He put himself out of his way. His aunt drove in the yard, and when he walked up to the gate, and I went to open the gate for him, he had on a earring. I said, Jono, what's that? He said, Uncle Joe. I said, not in my house. I said, you can't put an earring. I said, tell Auntie, bring that away. Don't let the car go. He took off the earring and came in. But that was those days. You can't do that today. There's not a big
I'm pretty sure Trotman and Jono might even be listening right now. I am so happy to hear.
You remember that? I said, you can't come in my house with an earring. But he was a good boy. Jono was brilliant. Eh? Jono had a brilliant rail like his father. But unfortunately, you know, he was heavy and he had to work too hard at it.
Yes.
And even at that stage, you know, he races Jono won, and Jono was in new racing. He was brilliant.
I mean, he won some big races in Canada.
Oh, yes. And I thought that he would like racing more than fishing and he'd become a trainer. But he preferred the fish. And I don't know how successful he would have been as a trainer because he would curse the groom so much. He would be bad. Curse grooms.
I think so too.
Jono, I can't see that.
Well, once again, Mr. Hadid, we're going to wrap up this show, but we thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wealth, and wisdom with us. Thank you for giving me my second and last winner in Trinidad on Speed Fair. And thank you for your hospitality over the years and
it's a pleasure
teaching us all.
It's an absolute pleasure. I really, it's an honor for you to ask me, and it's a pleasure talking to you. You all are intelligent racing people, and I love to talk racing. And we can go on. And Brad, give Slade my regards. When you're on the stop riding, you're going to ride till the dead. You're right for 100 years?
Slade got me what, 51 now, and still riding at night. I
talk to Emil on the phone every day. I say, Emil, when are you going to stop? What are you doing? I said, you are brilliant. You do, and what hurts me, when Emil is in a race now, he's 100 to 1, 50 to 1. I said, that is not Emil Ramsamy. Every horse you're ridden from 2 to 1 and odds on. He said, man, he like it, But I think, I don't know, I hope he's listening, because Emil is very, very knowledgeable. He's one of the jockeys that used to study every horse in the real competition. And I think, I don't know how it works, I don't know anything about it, but the little I know, I think Emil would be a brilliant jockey's agent because he could really form, he can assess a horse. And he used to tell me which the horses we had to beat in a race to study them, you know. And I don't know why he doesn't go in that direction. But anyway, I only hope that God will keep him and Slade safe and let him stop riding safe.
Yes.
Without any major injuries.
Great. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you, boys.
We're going to wrap up the show, but we will say goodbye to you, Mr. Hadid. Thank you, for helping us out.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Old school.
Anytime you boys have 2 or 3 days to spare, we could talk racing again.
I will definitely let
you
Leroy and Sean
love that.
about this.
Okay.
All right.
Have a
Thanks
great
again.
evening, Mr. Hadid.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
All right, guys.
Well, we went to school and back, man.
Beyond.
He took us to school. He took us to school.
Beyond.
An educational lesson
Yes.
of history, and
Yes.
man, I almost feel like, well, if Leroy had his pillow that he could snuggle
I know,
up to,
man. Trust me, man. I need a hammock.
Couple hours, man.
I need a hammock in here, man. Just you know.
No, but this had to be one of the most educational shows that we ever did.
Absolutely.
I think that one thing you got to understand that men like Joe Hadeed were responsible for guys like Emil Ramsamy, and those are guys that
A lot of great horsemen. A lot of great horsemen, not just jocks. Great horsemen.
And all these guys left and went outside and did well, and so we got to always remember where this thing started.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Unfortunately, in Barbados, we don't really have much people left that maybe we could discuss things like this. But it was really important to hear the stories, to hear how Emil and all those great writers from the past, and to also tell us about them. That was great, man. Excellent.
We encourage everyone to look out for his book.
Yes.
And you remember the name, Leroy? Under the
fiddle tree.
Under the fiddle tree.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely gonna put that on my to-do.
Yeah, because a lot of people, a lot of the guys are asking about it. So I mean, it'd be great, if we could talk about it some more on the show, and hopefully to get some more sales. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys.
Well, before we go, Sean, we want to run this quick video of tourists. Tourist friends of yours that you met. And this is an example to the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. How in the world of horse racing, we encourage tourism to Barbados.
Correct.
Check this out.
Hi, this is Sean Hall here from Journeys with two of my Canadian friends, Ken and Tracy, multiple visitors to Barbados. They've been coming here for such a long time. What brings you guys back to this island all the time?
For us, it's just the beauty of the island, the beauty of the people, the safety, where you can feel comfortable to leave the hotel grounds, even at nighttime. We explore the island, love the people, love the food, the culture. I find it a lot like Canada years ago, where it's just peaceful and loving, and it's the people.
Wow. Tracy, come on, don't be shy.
Well, for me, it's definitely the people and the beauty of the island, the food. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. But I met two of you guys, I don't know, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Same thing, I'm here now with horses, going to the beach. We've kept in contact with one another every time you guys went back. It's brilliant that, you guys, even though you leave, you still remember people in the island.
We've come to a lot of friendships over the years in Barbados, and a lot of people we keep in contact with that know when we're coming back, and we look forward to them, and we always give something back too. So we support the dog sanctuary on the island. So every time we come, it's not just about the beach.
Yes.
We go to the dog sanctuary. We volunteer there, the Ark. And we give hats out to the locals, and so appreciated. We like to give a little back too. So
that's great, man. I mean, I really, of course, love you guys for doing that, coming back all the time, giving back to the country, and my sponsor, the BTMI. I'm so happy to hear. They will be happy to hear this. People come back and they're getting involved in different things and that kind of stuff. And all I can say, guys, keep coming back to Barbados.
Absolutely.
We will.
Keep coming back. I'm so happy to have you guys here every time you come back. And this is Journeys, Ken and Tracy.
Loving Barbados.
Loving Barbados, and we are out. This is Sean Hall at the beach for Journeys. This is Sean Hall at the beach for... Now, this is a very interesting story. I met these guys a couple years ago, going to the beach with the horses, and they're from Canada, and once you hear somebody from Canada, obviously because of my history of being
you're able
living
to
in
interact
Canada.
with them better.
Yes, you know what I mean. And give it, as you can see, I'm supporting my Blue Jays hat and my Blue Jay T-shirt. I'm rocking, guys. I'm rocking. So I'm glad to see them coming here.
Where is my Raptor shirt? I want my Toronto Raptors.
Well, we deal with baseball with these guys. These guys are baseball fans.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I wear baseball stuff when
Baseball
I'm
season now too, so
yes.
Right.
But no,
Boys
they
of
come to
summer.
Barbados very often, and they're coming back again in November. So these are repeat visitors, which are very important for the economy and that kind of stuff. And we want to see these kind of people coming to Barbados often, and just making friends with guys like myself, and because I've been pretty busy, so I haven't been able to go to them. But I'm planning to meet them at the beach on Sunday. So
Excellent.
and Tracy, man, keep coming to Barbados, and we love you guys for doing that.
And for supporting the ARC Sanctuary for the dogs and animals in Barbados.
Yes,
There
that's
we go.
great. Very good. Very
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
So our
We have
friend
Adrian
Adrian Johnson.
wants to
Who
know
is
who's
the next
guest
guest?
on the show.
Are we going to
Leroy,
reveal that?
you want to do that, Leroy?
Yes, our next guest will be Emma Wilson.
All right.
Great jockey Emma Wilson, leading rider.
Exciting.
Yes, so we'll be excited all about having Emma on the show next week.
Brilliant,
Emma,
man. Brilliant.
Yes.
We've had
definitely.
two of the top riders from Canada, lady riders, almost back to back.
There you go. There you go.
You're really.
We're
Leroy,
walking, boys. We're walking. We're walking.
You're boy.
We're
You can't do
walking. We're walking.
Is there any other female jockeys or ex-jockeys maybe we can interview in the future, Sean?
I'm trying to get Sonia Perkins to come out of that shell. I'm
Hopefully-
trying my best.
Hopefully
my
we can
best.
fall up behind these guys because we want to hear from her.
I mean,
She's done a lot of great things in Barbados.
I saw her at the beach on it was Sunday, I think. Today's what? I saw her Sunday. No, Sunday during the week. I saw her and I mentioned it again. I said, Sonia, come here.
We have an audience waiting.
Yes, and you know what though? She told me I'm coming. I spoke to Chris Griffith. I spoke to Chris.
Chris being
and I'll let you know when I'm coming.
That night.
Yeah, so Chris, thank you. Shout out to Chris Griffith, man.
There you go. There you go. Oh, and by the way, too, guys, that I've followed up on trying to get that kid up here. So the trainers say that she's got everything in motion. She's doing the advertisement for it, and then we have to follow up behind that. So things are in works.
Well, they're in works.
Things are in works. So
I'm very glad to hear you say that.
She's gonna try her best to try and get him up here before the year's over.
Okay, well, I've heard news from my guy with Colbert, with Josie Carroll, not Josie Carroll, Josie DePaula.
DePaula, yes.
Josie DePaula and Mike DePaula, and they're interested in Colbert, but they're gonna start working on him from next year. So they're more interested in next year than this year, which is once some interest is being shown, it doesn't matter.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Because as you know, it's going to take a little while now anyhow. So it's best to work from then on the year.
Guys, let's get all of the Barbadians here that are looking or even thinking of going overseas.
Yes.
Whether they be grooms, exercise riders, or jockeys. We need to let them know they need to get started now.
Yes, correct.
As it might take 6 to 12 months, but now is the time to make those contacts. Thank you, Josie, for reaching out and helping our guy Colbert. Please do continue on and help him get there to Canada. And hopefully next year you can send us a short video or two that we can have on our show to show the success of this program.
We will do that. Definitely will. All right. Okay, guys.
Well,
let's wrap this up.
Yes. People, hey, let's not wrap it up. We got a couple people saying we really love the show.
Thank you.
Night, fellas, gentlemen, another great show. Keep up the good work. Our guy Adrian Johnson, very educational.
It was.
I'm missing Sean tonight.
You're missing Sean?
Sean, one of our special guests that always on.
No, we got to give a shout out to Sean too, man. Don't forget, Sean is our graphic designer, videos, everything. Do we have our stuff to give him a little shout out on the cross there, please?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yes. Sean Hammer is the guy that does all our work, people, and I'm very grateful, thankful, my schoolmate. I'm grateful for that brother, man. Thank you.
No, and I was fucking talking to the other guy, Sean, that, you know, when he comes on, he has that cigarette in his mouth. He's always fun. We miss him tonight. Yeah.
That's Sean.
He's there.
Sean.
Oh, okay.
He's there.
Okay. He has a picked up a horse up this time.
Yes.
That was at 7:14 p.m. I think he might be asleep by now. I don't know. Give him a shout out tomorrow for us.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank him for even coming on. He was the second viewer tonight. Our guy Rodney Barrow said good night, guys. And
yeah. Okay. Edwin Weeks didn't come up tonight either.
I did not think. No, I don't see Edwin Weeks was on the show. Shame on him for not.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give him a piece of my mouth tomorrow.
That's our guy, man. That's our guy.
You know, you don't want to be missing our show, our special, our no audience on there, right?
Oh, these guys watch it on YouTube now, man. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll be recording, guys.
Well, 4 hours, almost 4 hours, guys. Wow.
Yes. Thank you very much, guys. It was a great show, man.
Okay.
We're hanging in there. We're sponsored by Totally Barbados as well.
Yes, correct.
And our guy Sean the Hammer for your graphics and photography.
Yes.
And Leroy.
Yes, sir.
Looking for new jocks. I can get you a couple new jocks if you want.
Pardon me?
I can get you a couple new jockeys if you're looking to drum up business, man. I heard a story where there's an agent in the U.S. that has like 8 jockeys.
Yeah. That's Santo's son. Santo's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Leroy, you could be an agent. I could get a couple riders down here in Barbados, and you could do your thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys.
3 hours, 51 minutes.
Yes.
Great show. Thanks for the support from everyone, and see you next week on
All right.
Journeys, the talk show.
Yes.
Good night, guys.